Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97 on ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, we got you covered, as we'll post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault upon the conclusion of the program, and that will all be brought to you with a limited commercial interruption thanks to our great sponsor, fine folks at Southland Commercial, SVN, Carlton Dean, teaching you ways to make money in commercial real estate. Opportunities out there, folks. Go to carltondean.com to learn more. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices. That's a good thing. And, I think we're all caught up on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. You can watch us perform the show. Got my Dalvin Cook shirt on today, buddy. He did well in the car wash, as they call it. He was not afraid of the tough questions. And I have said this before about Dalvin. I know we were talking about Dalvin yesterday on the program and where he fits in the big scheme of things with the Buccaneers, if he falls to 19. And right now the draft is on everybody's mind. It's on my mind. It's fun. I'll give the NFL credit because even when you try to sort of push it away because you realize that it's an omnipresent force in your life. Like the NFL never goes away. Baseball starts up. You love baseball. You get started with baseball, but you got your mind's eye on football a little bit. And so I'm well aware of how the NFL has done a great job, not a good job, a great job of manipulating the calendar to where it is now not a football season but year. And so I kind of push back. There's blowback there. It bothers me to be manipulated like that. You know how when you know you're being manipulated by something and you can sense that here's how they're doing it, here's why they're doing it, obviously money, and yet you fall into the trap, you catch yourself, it drives me nuts. It's like clicking on an article you know is clickbait. And when you do it, you go, I just did what I said I wouldn't do. And the NFL's got you. That's what they do.
Oh, yeah, mock draft 4.7. I'll click on mock draft 4.7 just to see.
I don't. I've gotten better about that. I don't do it.
Weak man when it comes to that.
You're like, oh, please don't click it. I'm going to click it. I just clicked it. Now I clicked it. I might as well read it. They already got their click. So, no, I don't do that other than unless it's a place that I really respect. Although if they're involved in 4.7 of a mock draft, I don't know that I have that same sort of respect I once had for them. But that said, I get it. I get that we're owned by the NFL. And so I push back and I say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll just assume, click on this volleyball article I care nothing about. Then click on that nonsense that's really got no basis in fact and has nothing to do with nothing. Anyhow, that said, I woke up today thinking about the damn draft, like really compelled to think about the draft and watch the draft, almost giddy-like about the damn draft.
Because the draft is fun.
Well, and it matters. It does matter. It is a tangible thing that matters to your NFL franchise for years to come. If your guys, that is to say the front office, not office, but office, screw it up, you're screwed. But you can't always know how bad they screwed it up because sometimes you think they screwed it up. You're sure they screwed it up, and it turns out they did great. 5 years later, you go, ooh, I really laid into them after that draft, but they seem to have nailed it. That guy's a lot better than I thought he'd be.
Screamed at that television with everything I had on draft night.
And other times you're like, well, I think we got it right here. And guys don't materialize. They don't become the players you thought they could. They don't translate. Their game doesn't really mold well to the NFL game or whatever it might be. And there you go.
Well, man, this year I'm watching Vernon Hargreaves. Taking a closer look. All right. Some bright spots.
Off to a good start.
Off to a decent start. Some things I saw. I don't know if that's going to get any better. So I'm watching him very closely. I know there are a couple listeners. One TPE. Who's of course you are. Of course you're checking in on that.
Well, let me say this about him. He's always going to be limited in some capacity. We knew that going in. It's just that if what he does well continues if he's able to excel in those areas that we knew why we drafted him, right? And then have those weaknesses, but he's a solid starter for the next 4 to 5 years, it was a good pick. I mean, if you've got he doesn't have to be great, but if it's a solid starter for 4 to 5 years, I think you'd say that's a success. It's so hard to make it to the National Football League. It's especially hard to be a starter and be a decent one in the National Football League. If you draft a guy and 8 years later he's starting for your team as a pretty good starter at the position, you did well.
Well, we did this discussion in a way before with Florida State, right? And recruits that were 5 stars and 4 stars. And,
yes,
and
defining our terms, it
they're,
gets
they're
very
a bust
different.
or they're not a bust.
Right.
You're usually much more grounded when it comes to projections as to a successful either 5-star recruit or a successful first-round draft pick. You're almost looking for the everyday contributor guy more than you are the superstar player.
I just think it's, if you look around the league, I mean, okay, I'll give you a good example. I know it's an extreme example, and I don't want to grab outliers. I mean, but Johnny Manziel got drafted in the first round, and we all chuckled. You and I sat there and said, well, that's the dumbest-ass pick I've ever seen, and we called it a year in advance. Anybody that takes this clown is just wasting their draft pick. It happens all the time. Teams screw it up that badly. So if you tell me we're drafting 22nd, we grab a guy, and 8 years later he's still starting for my team, I win, man. I got it right. He may not be an all-pro, and I need him to be. Now, if you're drafted number 1, or in the top 5, like we talked about before, you've got a chance, you got a shot at the 5 best players in the draft. Now, according to your need, obviously, you'll whittle that down to maybe 1 or 2. You can't, yeah, the standard's a little higher.
Okay.
It's a little higher.
So he's got to make all-rookie team.
Well, he's got to,
Pro Bowl within the first 3 years of his career.
Well, we do this every day now, but Jameis Winston, who I wanted the Bucs to pick number 1 overall, and Lovie Smith tried to screw that up by beating the Saints in the final game of the year, and had he, I'd hate him in a way that is unnatural if that had happened. Thankfully, our team sucked enough, and Drew Brees was good enough to lead the Saints to a final drive to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that makes me a big fan of Drew Brees forevermore.
He did finally pull his first and second stringers towards the very end.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Out here trying to win a damn useless game and lose the number 1 pick in the draft when you've got a prototypical pocket passer, star quarterback in the making for the next 15, a franchise quarterback, which teams so desperately want. And that dude's out there trying to beat the Saints.
Yeah, remember the last 3 weeks of the season when it became a dream all of a sudden? It was like, whoa.
This could happen. This could happen.
Because you look at the strength of schedule, it's how they do it. You know, we had the leg up on Tennessee.
I'm telling you right now, with that, I feel bad saying this, and I'm not maniacal as a fan. I'm pretty level-headed, you know, getting to be 45, married, 2 kids, lots of things happen in your life that level you out a little bit, make you see the bigger picture a little bit, as opposed to when you're crazy at 20 and just all in on sports all the time and nothing else matters. If he had blown that pick by beating the Saints in coaching, all out with starters out there making play after play, we might have had to order a hit. I mean, that's like crazy. I mean, what in the world were we doing there? I remember being on the edge of my couch, and my wife was saying, the Bucs suck. Why are you so upset? You've been mad at them all year long. You know they're terrible. Why are you acting like it's a big deal? I said, because they're going to win. And she's like, good. I go, no, it's not good at all. If they win this game, I'm going to throw stuff through the window. This is nuts. We've got Jameis freaking Winston. Anyhow, back to Winston. Prototypical number 1 pick quarterback position. You say to yourself, okay, now, if you're drafted number 1 overall and you go quarterback, he better be your starting quarterback for a decade on and be, a top 10 player. You got to have a guy, especially in this league. So, I have a sliding scale there. But if I'm drafting 23rd, in this draft we're drafted 19th, you don't have first shot at all these guys. And, frankly, the Bucs have a lot of needs. I'd say they need defensive end. I'd say they need offensive line. I think they need safety. They need a lot of help. They need a tight end. You could use a running back. So, it's going to be, if you tell me the Bucs at 19 – draft a tight end. I'll use tight end instead of Dalvin right here, right? If they draft a tight end and he starts for the Bucs and he's a productive player, I'm not talking about a sorry ass you just have to throw out there. That's kind of Cameron Brate. I'm saying you throw a guy out there that is a difference maker, teams have to scheme for, is on the upper echelon of tight ends. If you go around the league and you're judging tight ends, if he's in the upper half and he starts for the next 8 years, but he's not, he's not the best tight end in the league. He's not Antonio Gates for the next 10 years. That's okay, too. Just give me a guy that's on the upper echelon there and starts for you.
Yeah, give me somebody that they have to account for. Because you have Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson, 2 players that they already have to account for. So now you have a third guy.
Right.
And he's up the seams. So you covered 3 different portions of the football field.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And it's a sliding scale. But I did, anyhow, I was happy with it.
Got to be able to block, though, too. If you're a tight end in the first round, I mean, if you're
Oh,
just a
yeah.
receiving tight end,
No.
what? You might as well just draft a receiver at that
Yeah,
point.
I agree with you. No. You've got to be a do-it-all tight end in that situation. You got to be able to block for me in the run game. I need you on the field all the time. No, I agree with you there.
It's overvalued, the receiving portion of the tight end and what they can do. I think if they're 80-20 splits, in capabilities, they're Jimmy Graham. Like Jimmy Graham was asked to do an awful lot more in Seattle. He finally came on in the tail end of last year, but they asked him to account for his position a little bit more than New Orleans did.
Right,
And you got to be able to account for the position a little bit here.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And so when we do that, we go and we try to compare and contrast to other drafts where guys were taken, where they were slotted, and how they produced in the NFL. And it's easy because you have analysis that makes sense. You have production that you can it's tangible. You can look at it. You say, well, the average guy in this slot at this position has produced this. Does my guy do that? Is he right in that? I dare say that if you take a corner and he's a starter in the league for 8 years and you drafted him in the first round, you got your money's worth. You got a guy that you were hoping to get. It's hard. It's true when you talk about recruits. I am more level-headed about it. I see five-star guys come in, and I get excited like every fan does. I want them all to be as electrifying as Dalvin Cook or as great as Jameis Winston was. But he was a Heisman Trophy-winning national championship quarterback. That is an unrealistic level to hold somebody to. You can't do that.
No, you're supposed to have one every 3-4 years, and that's just the way it works. I saw something interesting today on Twitter, and it was looking at the numbers of running backs and how much they produce if they're picked in the first few rounds versus, running backs as a whole. And basically it's this guy down in Tampa, it's at Tom Metrics on Twitter. Over 60% of running backs that have rushed for over 1,000 yards since 2012 were actually drafted in the first 105 picks.
105. It's pretty deep into the draft.
It's basically a little bit into the fourth. But the idea being that it's not just
they were drafted.
Well, come on now. First 105, 106 picks, whatever it is. I mean, the idea that you could just pick up anybody off the scrap heap isn't necessarily as true as perhaps we've been making it out to be.
No. What is true is that the league has moved away from workhorse backs and they've got tandem guys more often than not. They lessen the load on these guys. So if what you have is the situation you have in Atlanta, for example, then yeah, you're in a good working situation. You don't draft a guy like Dalvin Cook in the first round and expect that he's going to get 20-plus carries a game and rush for over 1,000 yards. Not at his size. Not with him being what he is. That's not the kind of back he is. That's all I'm saying. And with running back, you can get a really talented running back with the 78th. We have the 50th and the 84th pick.
Sure.
But you could get the 84th pick to be running back, and he might rush for 1,000 yards. It's not crazy. In fact, it happens quite often.
No, it does happen quite often. It's roughly a quarter of those running backs, those different 60-plus players, have come in the first round. Only 25%.
That's what I'm saying, and we both recognize it happens all the time with guys
Sure.
where you'll go, I don't even know who that is. Who is that
No,
guy?
if they don't take Dalvin and they go get Mac from USF at pick 84 or whatever it is, I'm okay with that. I'd like to have Dalvin instead, and maybe we don't have the choice. Maybe we're not offered, Dalvin up as a choice. Maybe somebody goes up and gets him. Maybe he's been undervalued. I saw in Vegas yesterday that the over-under on his draft position is in the upper 20s at this point. Yeah, that's where the sports books have him slotted.
I'm not getting this. I don't get where this is coming from. And a lot of times it's not real, right? We make fun of this all the time. Remember, there were conversations about Jameis Winston falling out of the first round by talking heads on ESPN who clowned themselves. They looked like buffoons. And Mayock, well, good Lord, with the dumbassery that he was throwing out there, we would laugh aloud. We knew that it was nonsense. Sometimes guys are saying things to say things to garner said clicks, the aforementioned clicks from earlier in the segment, and we're getting close to the draft, and all that's left to do is actually draft guys, so they just say crazy things. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. My hair is on fire. I'm just not buying that. I don't think Dalvin Cook's going to – you said upper 20s?
Upper 20s is what, yesterday in the sports books.
Well, first of all, it doesn't sound like to me that he's going to fall beyond Tampa Bay if he goes that far. So if he's there at 19, it appears the Bucs are going to take Dalvin.
Yeah, there's real smoke there, I think. There's
the people
enough.
we talk to that we keep talking to, some of which are connected over there, unless they're being lied to, which is not
it's possible,
out of the realm of possibility.
But there is no doubt the variety of people, because you got a couple people,
right,
and then we got a couple of friends, and people might be able to guess one person who might be dialed in. They may appear here frequently, but they spend a lot of time on Dalvin Cook in Tampa, like a lot of time on vetting him. So you're not gonna waste time for no reason if he's available to you at 19. If you're gonna spend time on a prospect, that means that you're likely going to pull the trigger on him if you have a chance.
Well, if you want to use people outside of the connections to Florida State and or the journalists we sometimes, or the website owners that we sometimes have on the show that are either connected to us or to Florida State or to Tampa Bay as a more objective means of saying, well, at least these guys are independent of the Bucs, the state of Florida, this website they're pushing. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com has the Bucs going. Dalvin Cook, I don't think he's just throwing that out. Daniel Jeremiah was the one fair one when it came to Jameis Winston.
Yeah, Mayock did too.
Charlie Casserly has him going to Tampa Bay. Bucky Brooks has him going to Tampa Bay. Everybody save for Lance Zierlein, who actually has him 1-2 of the two Bucs. They all have Dalvin Cook, and none of them are connected to us, to Florida State, to Tampa Bay, to websites that cover the Bucs. None of them. And that doesn't make it so. It's just that that's the thinking, and they're all connected to people.
And Mayock, with his past, obviously, playing the game with Mariota going number 1 and projecting him instead of Winston. But he says Dalvin's going to Tampa, and he only does one mock draft.
And I'm done worrying about anything Mayock says anyhow.
Really? You're off him for life?
I'm off him for life. He's ridiculous. No, man. His integrity was absolutely thrown out the window with his preachy style of, they can't draft Jameis Winston.
World needs plenty of bartenders.
Hell out of here with that nonsense. No, and he knew better. He was here. We watched him watch Jameis up close and personal, and that story all changed, and he got moralist on us, and I was just done with him.
Then he showed up to Bucs camp in the last couple of seasons, and he says, well, this is the guy they needed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you knew that all along, dumbass.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Banditos Burritos, my friend?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac is back at it, supporting the High School Scholar Athlete of the Month on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Listen every Wednesday to hear our monthly winners. Check them out at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMCCadillac.com.
Blink 182 return live in concert.
And that's about the time she walked away from me.
The Pavilion at the center of Tallahassee, May 3rd. With special guests, The Naked and Famous, and Waves. Get tickets now at the box office or online at tallypavilion.com. Blink 182, performing all the hits and songs from their brand new album. Check out Blink182.com. Presented by the Pepsi Concert Series, produced by AEG Live and Hookah.
Join us for 8 days of nonstop tennis as the rising stars of the USTA Pro Circuit battle for a main draw wildcard into the French Open. It's the 18th annual Tallahassee Tennis Challenger, April 22nd through the 29th at the Forest Meadows Tennis Complex. Proceeds benefit the Wagner Neurointensive Care Unit at Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Sponsored by the Florida Lottery, Tallahassee Democrat, the City of Tallahassee, Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, 850 Business Magazine, and Comcast.
Shot, save, rebound, score!
The playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot, save, rebound,
The Corner Pocket on Appalachian Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, Beer Bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
During Lowe's Ready to Restock event, Pro customers should get ready to save, with up to 20% on GAF shingles every day when they buy in bulk, and up to 20% on select Cobalt Mechanics tools through April 30th. Plus, from April 19th through May 30th, pros can trade in their old cordless tools in-store and get 24% off new Cobalt 24-volt brushless cordless power tools. Limit 1 per customer. Restrictions apply. See store for details. Shingle offer applies to contractor packs. Products vary by store. U.S. only.
If there's one thing the pros at Advance Auto know, it's parts.
Advance Auto Parts and Batteries, this is Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey. I'm on your website, and it says I can buy online and then pick up in store.
Yes.
And how long does that usually take?
30 minutes or less.
I need a battery for my 2013 Ford Escape.
Our Autocraft Gold, it's got a 3-year warranty.
Man, you really know your stuff. I'm 33. Am I too young for a cardigan?
Too young for a cardigan.
Advance Auto Parts. We know everything about auto parts. Order online at advanceautoparts.com and pick up your order in store in just 30 minutes.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Jag's going to take Leonard Fournette. And that's a good pick because he's going to be good. I don't, that's a straight ass forward. This guy's going to be good. You should take him. You know, I remember, and it's easy to do, but when you're talking about bigger, stronger backs like that, I'll take my chances on the injury front. You know, Adrian Peterson signed with the Saints today. I can remember him coming out of Oklahoma. Let's not forget. So this guy's a man-child, but he had all kinds of injuries at Oklahoma, whether it be the shoulder or the collarbone, if you recall. He had the ankle situation. He had all kinds of problems. He's a beast.
I remember the front page of Sports Illustrated prior to the draft, and that's going back a little ways with Sports Illustrated, but talking about the risk. Could he be if he stays healthy? That's basically what the number one question was.
Anybody ever does with running backs. I just think it's easier to take a chance on that when the guy's 238 pounds of pure beast than it is a 210-pound guy that, you know, I mean, that's a brutal league. Yesterday, when we were having the conversation about backs that take a while to figure out which hole they're going to go in and all that good stuff, like, you know, hit the hole and they kind of dance and zone blocking schemes and all that stuff we were getting into, and somebody brought up Le'Veon Bell, and I'm like, yeah, but he's 227 pounds. He's unique in a lot of ways. There's no other back in the league that runs like him, so he's an outlier. And then B, he's 227 pounds. He's not small. He's huge.
Isn't it possible, though, that, you know, given that Dirk Cutter in Tampa, because that's who Dalvin is really being tied to. It's not just that we're Bucs fans. The guy, the star from Florida State in this draft is tied to Tampa Bay. I mean, he does like to scheme things around the strengths of his offense. I mean, couldn't it be that if you get somebody like a Dalvin, you're not asking him to run between the tackles, but in certain situations where you need a yard, and then everything else is going to be outside zone, off the edge, strength, you know, to his strengths, I mean?
Well, the beauty of Dalvin or any running back that goes to Tampa Bay is, once again, Jameis Winston.
He's going to check you into advantageous situations.
Plays. I mean, if Sims can run down there, and some of the guys we've had, I mean, we've had some slappies. I mean, there are some guys out there that don't.
The quiz is solid, though.
mean,
You're going to say he's a slappy?
We got him off the scrap heap for a reason. He's not. I like him. He's more productive than some of these guys we roll out there with that I'm like, slow foot speed, can't run him. He's not like some of those guys are catching the ball in the backfield. They have things that you like, but they're not going to line up and get you anything if you got to give him the ball 15, 20 times. Quiz is the best of those options, but he's not a difference maker. He's not a real difference maker, or he'd be the starting running back for somebody. But Jameis checks you into right place. He gets it at the line of scrimmage. That's his strength. Obviously, he's smart. He understands the game at a very high level for his age. We've seen it from day one, from the time that he was given the reins here. So you're going to be in a position, an advantageous position, when you get the ball from him. I mean, the numbers are going to be in your favor.
Well, and Dalvin is a smart running back. That's the thing. You got a lot of intelligence in that backfield.
He's got a lot of vision. He's got a real knack in how to set up things, set up plays. I don't disagree with all of that. I like guys who don't have to do that. I like guys that I can hand the ball to, and he'll hammer your ass for the next 4 quarters, and it's 240 pounds that gets you some.
How many dudes are there like that?
Well, there's not many. Leonard Fournette, I think, is going to be one, is all I'm saying. That's why I get Fournette, and I have questions about all the other guys. All of them, not just Dalvin. I like Dalvin. If Dalvin Cook goes to the Bucs, fine. Because, again, he'll be put in a better position because of Jameis. Go get you a tight end in that second round, though.
Percentage chance Leonard Fournette has a more productive career than Dalvin Cook. So yards from scrimmage, rushing, receiving total, touchdowns.
Well, no, I don't think he's out there catching the ball the way that Dalvin will. I like Leonard Fournette. I do. I think it's a pretty good chance he ends up having the better career. So, I don't know, 65%. Okay.
Just trying to gauge if it's a slam dunk thing. It's not quite a slam dunk, but you think it's...
I just think he's...
significant. You have a significant less risk by taking Leonard Fournette, is what you're saying.
Yeah, different style runners, yeah. I mean, very different style of back. And they're both, when you go watch the highlight reels of both, you're just, yeah, you marvel. There's a lot of woo with both of them. But again, I'm not, for the most part, I'm not a running back first-round guy anymore. And so, especially if there are viable guys that I think can have good careers, be 1,000-yard backs for you, sitting around late in the second or early in the third, because I think this draft has that. And if you have more pressing needs, like certainly upgrading your offensive line, and you've got a shot at Cam Robinson or somebody like that, then I'm inclined to go there. Now, I don't think he'll be around when we draft at 19, so it may be decided for you.
I think that's the primary argument, counter argument you make. If you're a Tampa Bay fan, if you're anybody, the Eagles have been talking about Cook, teams that are in the late teens, early 20s. It's the age-old argument. Are you sure? Because if you're not, then don't take the running back. Go get him later.
Yeah, go get the offensive lineman. Go get the tight end. Go
like
get
Devonta
the defensive
Freeman,
tackle or whatever it is. Yeah.
Dalvin was compared. It was kind of funny. You could see him getting annoyed when he was doing the car wash. Every time he sat down, there was
compared to Devonta Freeman
at least once or twice. 2 questions. He'd be asked about Devonta. Do you talk to him? Do you hang out with him? Do you model your style after? And you could tell Dalvin's like, I'm a better player than he was.
I'm the all-time leading rusher at Florida State.
He didn't go first round. You do realize this.
Yeah, I'm going to be picked in the first round. I'm the all-time leader at Florida State. I didn't have the offensive line that he had.
Yes. Oh, not even close.
I mean, Dalvin's got a lot of feathers in his cap, without question. I love Freeman, and I thought he was set up to have a great career in the NFL. There are a lot of things he did very, very well that was underrated, in particular run between the tackles.
And getting small, getting the extra yards.
Getting the extra yards. He's got massive legs and a lower center of gravity.
I can't believe how explosive he is at the next level. I don't think he was that explosive here.
I think it looks different on artificial turf, on, that turf they have in Atlanta. It looks different. He may be a smidge faster. I don't know. I think to
your point, though, he was taken over the weekend in the NFL draft. He wasn't taken night one. Devonta.
No. I loved him. And again, that's why I say you can find guys like that further down, By the way, people have asked about the Jaguars. Again, I'm not a Jaguars fan. I don't lock in every week to that team. Obviously, it looks like they're going to take Leonard Fournette, but if you're just asking about needs, well, they need a tight end. They need a defensive tackle. They could use offensive line. Those are very specific to the Jags, and I get that. It makes sense.
Might need a linebacker, too. Talvin's just going to jet and go to Tampa Bay when he's allowed to sign.
That'd be nice. I'm all right there. In Tampa, by the way, as an aside, just to mention this, they don't think they need a linebacker at all. At all. They're not in the mindset that linebacker, not early.
Well, they like their depth linebackers, too.
Right. You and I disagree with the people in Tampa Bay about their linebacking core. We think it's good, but we think David is on the way down.
Correct. He can make the plays in front of him. Coverage, not so much. Yeah, that's about right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, and he's undersized, so I don't feel like that's going to get better, I think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you're right. Last night if Reuben Foster's available, you have no choice. You must take Reuben Foster.
I don't think they're going to.
If he were to be available in that slot,
I don't think they're going to.
How much would you be writhing in the proverbial fan pain if Foster's available and they take, say, Dalvin? You'd have to walk away for a minute. I can see it.
Maybe. I think I'd be more hurt if either, for me, O.J. Howard or Cam Robinson were sitting there and we didn't go that route. I tend to think that would bother me a little bit more because I do think we have adequate starting linebacker play, more than adequate in the case.
With Quan, yeah.
Yeah, with Quan. So it's interesting. The Dolphins are a team that are looking offensive line. They're looking safety. They've got a lot. The Dolphins are kind of interesting in this draft. They drafted in the 20s, and I was going back through it. They could go anywhere from offensive line, which I think they might, but they could go Taco Charlton if he's there. Defensive end, they could go that route. The Dolphins have a lot of – I was looking at the Dolphins' visits, all of the people that they've had in, that they've looked at. And they're all over. Their offensive line, their safety, their defensive tackle, their defensive end, their cornerback.
They got to be feeling pretty great, though. I mean, the way that last season began mirrored that. You had Tom D'Angelo on because he was covering the Dolphins through camp 2 days and certainly the preseason games. And the outlook was bleak at best.
Very.
I mean, he was burying them in the interviews, saying they've got no chance.
Yeah.
And then the first 6 weeks of the season, that's exactly the way it looked for the Dolphins. But, Gase was considered to be a whiz kid, and he proved he's got some metal to him at the NFL level. I mean, you got to be feeling pretty positive compared to where you say
I love that guy.
October 1st last year if you're a Dolphins fan. Things are pointing up for them where we thought they were the dead and buried team within the state.
The NFL ought to, and they did with the schedules came out. We talked about it last week, but it ought to be mandatory. You got to make the Jaguars and the Bucks and the Bucks and the Dolphins and the Dolphins and the Jags. They all got to play each other every year, man. I mean, that's what you do, right? You create these rivalries. You create some excitement in the state. You got to make sure that's a game that happens every season, somehow, some way. I would create these geographic rivalries at all costs if I could do it. And I love the fact that the Bucks and the Dolphins are going to play each other right off the bat. I mean, that's an exciting – just think about it for a moment. If you grew up in this state, you don't have to really even like these two teams. For me, it's a nostalgic moment. My dad, I've told everybody, is a kind of a combo Dolphins, Bucks fan in that order. But he grew up in an era where the state of Florida didn't have a team. And then the Dolphins came, and if you lived in this state or you lived in the South, really, you gravitated towards the first team that was close to you. And then when I was born, when I was over in Europe, my dad was in the Army. He followed the 72 Dolphins undefeated season every day. He'd go into work and obviously he was stuck in Heerlen, Holland. And so he'd look to see if the Dolphins won. And it was the first thing, it's hard to get, think about it, no internet. And so he's trying to find on the AP wire if the Dolphins won and the time difference and all that. And his hero is Don Shula. And it meant the world to him that I was able to have dinner with Don Shula and send him the picture and all that. And it was signed to my dad by Don Shula. So now, at the age of 45, my dad's getting up there, and these teams, when I think about symbolically what they represent, it's more than just two NFL franchises. It's your childhood. It's the memories of those conversations and all of that. When you see those helmets on the field together, it's a good look. If you're a Floridian, I think it's just a good look to see those two helmets on the field.
Well, the combo, too, of that, and if these teams continue to take, Florida college talent that makes it all the better.
Yeah, it
you know,
does.
that
It
you
does.
see some Knowles that we love, but now you hate them because they're playing in Jacksonville. And then you see, you know, Dante Fowler on the other sideline, but here's Jameis. And you can recall their matchups.
Absolutely.
You know, in college. Well, in 2013, these guys went head-to-head, and here's what happened here. So if you see that there's a little extra after the play, it's because of this dust-up they had in Tallahassee years ago.
A lot of them played high school together, too, in some cases. It's crazy. I mean, this is the talent-rich state.
And it was like that for a brief period of time in the late 90s.
Sure,
You know, when the Bucks were on the rise and they were taking a bunch of Seminoles, a lot of Gators too, and then Warren Sapp was the anchor of that defensive line. It was like you're putting this all-star team of Florida college talent together.
And Gene Deckerhoff is the voice.
I know. It made it so much more cool. There was a personal touch to it, and you can create that feel with the rivalries, but you can also do it if these teams continue to take the talent pool out of their own state. It's great for marketing purposes too.
It also makes a lot of sense because it's not like, you know, it's not like the other franchises around the league don't have Dalvin Cook rated as a first-round pick. You're not reaching to take a kid out of the state of Florida.
Jalen Ramsey was not a reach.
You know, I mean, you're lucky to be in this region of the country and to have, you know, look, Tampa Bay has always loved Florida State players. So have the Steelers for that matter, but it's interesting the way that works.
Front page spread in the
it was
Sunday
beautiful,
Times,
yeah.
which was pretty awesome about, you know, the best Knowles to make it down to Tampa Bay. And
Nice
certainly,
advertisement.
Oh, yes. If you have Derek Brooks and Warwick Dunn on the marquee of your franchise, you're doing pretty well.
Well, and, you know, Jameis has gone back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons with, like, one guy to throw to. Imagine if they go ahead and stockpile some talent around there.
You know, only got one Super Bowl in history, and the quarterback might have been from
Florida State University.
And the
Imagine
MVP
that.
of the Super Bowl was Dexter Jackson.
Dexter Jackson. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Autographed photos from Dalvin Cook and DeMarcus Walker. All proceeds from the event benefit the Kids First Fund. So why not stop by Thursday night from 6 until 9 p.m. the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachie Parkway for the WarChant.com Corner Pocket NFL Draft Party and Silent Auction.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/17.
Cricket has something epic for you. An adventure like no other. Starring free select 4G LTE smartphones when you switch. And featuring plans starting at only $30 a month. Now at a store near you. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about.
Applies to Samsung Galaxy M2, Alcatel Streak ZT Sonata 3. Requires number ported and service activation minimum $30 per month. First month service charge and in-store activation fee up to $25 due at sale. Tax and restrictions apply. One-time fees may apply. See store for details.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
Hi, can I have 2 steak tacos?
Flour or corn?
Oh, no tortillas. And no steak. Also add turkey, lettuce, and tomato. And just put it between 2 slices of bread.
You know this is a taco truck, right?
As a small business owner, you've got enough to deal with. Let the experts at Progressive insure your business so you can focus on whatever that was. With over 30 commercial, auto, and business coverage options, we'll build a plan that's right for you.
Oh, I'll have Swiss on that too. Thank you.
Visit ProgressiveCommercial.com to get started. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Tonight, The Voice is live, and the fate of the Final 12 is in your hands.
So use those hands to grab your apps, vote live, and let your voice be heard, America.
Okay, who is going to get your instant save and make it to the top 11?
You know what? I want them all to stay.
Then after The Voice, it is a new comedy from Tina Fey and Robert Carlock.
2 of the very funny minds behind 30 Rock.
And they are putting those minds to good use. It is the premiere of Great News tonight, right after The Voice, live on
NBC.
That's one way to say it.
Hi, I'm Pastor Richard Ledford. I want to invite you to join us at Restoration Place, Tallahassee, this Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. We're located just north of Fred George on Monroe at 3881 Monroe Street. For more information, check us out at myrpt.org. That's Restoration Place, 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. See you there Sunday morning.
There's a new 7-year tractor warranty in town. Now, only Mahindra tractors have the industry's best 7-year limited powertrain warranty. That's right, not 5 years, not 6, but a full 7 years. Only on the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Only at TNT Supercenter. Go see Clint and the friendly staff to get your next Mahindra tractor. TNTSupercenter.com.
Warranty on select models. See Mahindra warranty policy for details.
Wondering where you'll be watching the NFL draft? Let me help. Wings, beer, and Hooters girls. Hooters is Draft Central all 3 days of the NFL Draft, starting Thursday, April 27th at 8 p.m. as you cheer on your favorite NFL team. Upgrade any draft beer to a Big Daddy for just $1. Happy hour, 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, along with half-price apps. Remember, no great story ever started over breadsticks. Hooters makes you happy. 2000 North Monroe Street, online at Hooters.com, or call them at 385-2004.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Slow giants walk this land.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Pirates got bludgeoned last night by the Cubs 14-3. That's not the story. That is a story. It's probably likely to happen quite a bit to the Pirates this year. They're running a minor league club out there without Starling Marte and Long Kong. But that said, no Gong, no Marte, dudes you've never heard of, clown show. But bludgeoning, that's the part I was going to bring up. The 14-3 aspect of that game. It's baseball. Give it 14 runs. I was reminded, Tom, how much easier it is to be thoroughly thumped than to lose 4-3 on a regular basis, even giving you, once again, renewed perspective of how much each win really means. Taking ass kickings like that, you just go, look at us. This is score again. It's all right. At some point, you actually mean it. You're like, okay, I want to see what happens. I mean, can we really let's see what happens here, because you want to expedite the sense of urgency that perhaps management will then go out and do something. But this is where it's hard for any of you out there that root for quote-unquote small market teams. The reality is when you say, well, make it as ugly as possible so that we don't continue to run John Jaso out there in right field or Osuna or Phil Gosling's sorry ass because they're not MLB players. They shouldn't be out there. Jaso excluded. He has a use. But they can't. They don't have the money. They're not going to do anything. They're going to go through all 162 games of the season, and they're going to wear their L's, and they're going to stand pat. They're going to wait for Austin Meadows, in the case of the Pirates, or whoever your hotshot prospect is in the minor leagues, to mature and be ready to play rather than rush him up. And you just have to wear a lengthy season of ass-kickings. And that is tough. That is awfully tough. I can handle it knowing most nights I'm flicking on the tube to watch exactly that. And to gravitate towards something like the young pitching staff and perhaps the emergence of a star like Jameson Taillon or somebody like that. But other than that, you got nothing to fall back on, and that's where it hurts. That's where rooting for the Dodgers or the Cardinals or the Mets and the Yankees or teams like that can, and the Mets haven't been able to because of poor financial decisions and problems with ownership. But they're in the market. They can, if they get things righted there, they can go out and spend. And that's Chicago certainly can. The Cubs are spending a ton of money, and give the Cubs credit. A lot of these guys are homegrown, but still, that's hard. That's one aspect of Major League Baseball, and I'm not crying. I mean, it happens. The Pirates have been good the last 3 years. It's been fun. I get it. They're not going to sustain it for a little while, but that's the hard part, man.
There's freedom when the young guys come up and you get to watch them, but there's also freedom in knowing that your team is that bad. And I don't think it's fair weather to say this. You know that guy in your bullpen, everybody's got one. When that guy comes in, good things aren't happening.
Yeah.
And he's just told to take 3 innings, eat him up.
Just wear it.
Eat them up.
Yeah.
Scoop them on up.
Do the best
put them in
you
your
can.
mouth.
Go ahead, take that ass kick.
Here's a 3, maybe 4 innings tonight.
There's another double.
You got
in the
4
alley.
in you?
How about that? Gave up another one, did you?
You know the great thing is, I could put something else on. I go, oh, he's warming up. Well, I see
but
we're
you don't
currently down
want
7
to,
3.
man.
We're down 7-3. This
Yeah.
means we're going to need to score 10 to win, not just 8, but we're going to have to score at
Right,
minimum 10.
because we're still giving up several.
And I go find something else. That's a great, great feeling in those moments because those guys aren't part of the long-term picture.
But it's not a great feeling when you know that tomorrow night is not going to bring relief and your franchise doesn't have the means to go do something about it. It's brutal. I would hate to be – I'm thinking more along the lines of a GM. If you're a GM and your hands are tied in that situation, I mean, you still have to ask people. We're in the first part of the season. It's like week 3. You're telling people to come to the ballpark, come support your product, and at the same time you're letting them know when you answer the question, well, these are the best 25 we got, that you're not going to go and do anything about it. So this sad sap group that you watch out here giving up 10, 11 runs in a game, they're going to be out here all night, folks, all year long.
Well, at what
But please
point,
come out and support us.
At what point, let's just say that you're that type of roster. I mean, you've had a PED suspension, a guy with a visa problem.
Unbelievable.
Health hasn't always been great the last couple of years. But if you're one of those teams that's just, you got no chance this year, and you know it, and so here we go. You're the Phillies this year. At what point are you allowed to just check in and check out? I don't mean to say quit on your team. I'm saying it's Wednesday. I didn't really watch last night because that guy was pitching, and he's 38, and we had to sign somebody, and he's got a career 4.50 ERA,
right?
and he's off to a really great start this year. He's at a 75, that type of thing. At what point are you allowed to, in the rules of being a fan of a franchise, say, all right, well,
I'm going to read a book tonight.
They've lost 6 straight. Doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. Maybe I'll check in on Friday. It's Tuesday. Yeah, let me see what happens on Friday.
When Phil Gosling's in your starting lineup.
Okay.
At that point, you're allowed to do anything you want. You can
so
just
if you've
never
been a
watch
Braves
another
fan,
game.
The second half of last year, now the Braves played really good baseball. You had to be watching every night if you're a Braves fan.
Late in the year they did, yeah.
But, September especially. But, if you're a Braves fan early portion of 2016 or 2015, I mean, really? Are you expected to have to watch all 7 games in a given week or 6 games?
I think the beauty of baseball, if your team has made a concerted effort, has acknowledged that what they have isn't going to work, and they've decided to purge and get rid of the veteran players to try to get young players in return, it's when those young guys come up. So, like, I watched Polanco come up and Starling Marte and you know, obviously going back to Andrew McCutchen. You know, you had the nucleus for something great there. And even if you want to couple that with, like, Jameson Taillon right now Glasnow's part of that. Cool, who got blown up last night, is part of that to some extent. And there are some guys that they're still thinking about bringing up here in the relative short future. Josh Bell is up with the big club now and switch hitting first baseman, big, strong kid, got a cup of coffee last year, hit a grand slam against the Cubs. He's an exciting young player. If you see they're making efforts to move in that direction, embrace their youth and all those guys they got when they made those, I mean, that's fun. You should embrace that. You should watch that. You should know going into a season you're not going to make a play at anything, but you've got the nucleus for something fun, because when that does all pay off, this was the conversation we had about the Cubs 4 years ago. I would run into Cubs fans or 3 years ago, and they would say, well, you know, we're supposed to have Boy Wonder here as GM. I don't see it. I'm like, my man, it's baseball. He can't wave a wand. He's made trades. He's bringing the young guys along, and at some point he's going to say, all right, it's your time to shine. And when that all comes together, if you've been watching, it's much more rewarding. It's much because you watch their early struggles and then adapt to the league and figure things out and emerge together as –
if you've got cornerstones, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but if you don't, yeah.
For example, if you're a Marlins fan, these have been a couple of really exciting years with the obvious elephant in the room and the passing of Jose Fernandez. But, I mean –
it's a toughie.
The nucleus – was incredible. That's coming up. I mean, the Ozunas and Yelich to go along with Stanton, who they retained.
Yelich just turned into a really
and you've
good
got
player.
nice, pieces. Now they're not cornerstones, but like Real Muto and Justin
nice players,
Bour.
yeah.
These are good players.
Yeah.
And these guys you can get behind. Then the rotation looked like it was going to be going in a certain direction. So, you might only win 75 games, but damn it, if this thing's not rolling in the right direction.
Yeah.
They have a hard time with retaining players these days.
Although
But still,
Giancarlo Stanton, they gave $300 million. I mean, they have done it in some cases.
D. Gordon's a really nice piece. I mean, so they've got a lot of things going. If you're a Marlins fan the last couple of years, you're watching a lot more than, say, if you're a fan of the Phillies the last few years.
Well, the Twins. I mean,
Sure.
It's hard to watch the Twins. Like, you think to yourself, watching some Twins baseball here.
Those are classic-looking unis on a Sunday.
That's a toughie, man. That's, yeah. I mean, there are obviously, like, if you're a Padres fan right now, golly. Oof. Yeah, that's
Miguel Sano's going to get it done.
I mean, it's just
for the Padres.
That's freaking brutal, man. I don't know. I was just thinking about it last night. I mean, my team was getting bludgeoned, and I thought I can handle this. I mean, when you're on the wrong end of a ass kicking. But my buddy, our mutual friend Matt, was like, "You're throwing in the towel already 19 games into the season? You've already thrown in the towel?" I said, "Listen, this isn't the team I was promised. It's not their fault. Starling Marte screwed the Pirates with an 80-game suspension. He is the nucleus of everything they do in the lineup. First of all, he's a center fielder with range today, a Gold Glove All-Star player that can hit for power, has speed, steals bases, plays incredible D. He's everything in your lineup. And then your lone power source is gone, and they won't let him into the country.
He's also gone.
That's right. So your power-hitting third baseman, your power-hitting third baseman, and your all-world outfielder, which is the cornerstone of your team, we're 19 games into the season, and neither are rolling out there. And you're rolling out Phil Gosselin, Frazier, Jaso, and Freeze.
You got a tough life, pal.
That's some nonsense. And
the world owes you a living.
No, it's what it is. And that's hard. Now, for me, for teams like this, I'll soldier through with the Taillon starts. Like that kid.
So you check in every fifth day. This is what I'm searching to find out.
When I get the Taillon start.
So when Tehran starts, if you're a Braves fan, okay. And then when he's done and he's out.
Is he really going to be part of their future, though?
Well, I mean, I'm talking a couple of years ago when the times were tough.
Right, yeah.
And he was the guy. It's like, all right, I'll tune in for him.
If you're
some
asking
Freeman at bats, and then I'll see you next time Tehran's pitching.
I'd watch for Freeman alone. He's a joy to watch.
Hell of a player.
He's a hell of a player. I mean, he's really, really good. I'd watch him. But he only comes up every so often, so you kind of I said, ooh. You flip over, you're like, oh, Freeman's not due it for another couple innings. We're going to take it on down the line. Now, I like baseball for baseball's sake, so I can watch it. I'll flip all around. I've got the MLB package, so I'm watching all that.
Network is just an amazing channel.
I'll just do that. But, yeah, it's tough, man. I'm finding myself adopting, a second team this year, and it'll be the Rays because that is kind of my second
Or you could
team.
just watch more of the Valero Texas Open on Golf Channel.
I find myself watching a lot of things that I didn't think I'd watch if I'm angling towards sports, and the Pirates are in the midst of giving up 14 runs. I'm like, what do we got over here? A little ping pong action, huh? Hour number 2 forthcoming.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy, on runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters, your full-service marina.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 888-789-5042. 888-789-5042, 888-789-5042, 888-789-5042.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Some big NASCAR news today. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who certainly is one of the icons in NASCAR history, has decided he will retire after this year. The 42-year-old has 26 wins and 603 starts. Certainly a Hall of Fame career ahead of him. Florida State baseball taking on Stetson tonight. A quick one-game set before returning home for 3 games at Dick Howser Stadium over the weekend against Virginia. Well, Miami still isn't close to announcing their starting quarterback for the 2017 season, but they did just lose a quarterback this morning as redshirt freshman Jack Allison has announced that he will transfer. A new law signed recently by Oklahoma's governor could be used by universities to sue athletic boosters whose actions lead to NCAA sanctions. And one of the biggest free agents in the NFL has decided on a new home. Adrian Peterson signs a 2-year contract with the New Orleans Saints.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember this, we got you covered. We'll post all 3 hours of the show every day. We do it, in fact, both in our audio vault and on iTunes. If you go over on iTunes and you go, man, I like this podcast, you write that up so other people can find it easy. That's good stuff. And it's brought to you with a limited commercial interruption. We got a great sponsor for the podcast. We're indebted to him, Carlton Dean. And he can teach you ways to make money by investing in commercial real estate. He's got a lot of income-producing properties over there. Go to carltondean.com to find out more. You can find me on Twitter at JCameron Show. You can email the show, jcs at 979espnradio.com. And the YouTube feed is up and running. Hello, YouTubers. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. And there you go. You'll find us. Good to have you along.
Just read an interesting nugget that's going to make you freak. Not really, though, because you're not a Browns fan.
No, not at all.
Mark Sessler, who works for NFL.com, tweets out, chasing Trubisky, ? Mike Silver tells NFL Network at least 3 teams in the top 8 have been contacted by the Browns about a possible trade-up.
For Trubisky?
For Trubisky, yes, Mitch Trubisky.
Go ahead, everybody. Race up there to grab Mitch Trubisky so we can all laugh at your ass 2 years from now. It's just amazing. It is amazing. It's what it's happened. Listen, quarterbacks have always been important, but there was a time where you could win with just a serviceable quarterback if you had everything else in play. If you had a strong running game and a good defense, didn't beat yourself, had a guy who understood when to take chances, didn't turn the football over. You could win Super Bowls that way. We saw it happen all the time. But that's not today's NFL.
By and large, there is the exception of the Denver Broncos recently with old Peyton Manning, the sheriff himself.
And even he had a good first half in that Super Bowl, if you recall. He allowed for the defense to anchor in and just hold. I got you enough in this first half. I can't get you anymore. My arm is shot. Hold. And he did with guile and guts. His old crafty ass going out there, blown tire and all.
I think I'm going to have a Budweiser. This is in no way paid for.
That was funny, man, by the way. I thought it was well done. It was so ridiculous that I was like, that's perfect, Peyton. Perfect. That Eli Manning story is crazy. I know what do we care? I guess it's plausible that what he says happened, but I think my man was ganking people, giving them nonsense that they scuffed up in some dirt.
Eli, your story is plausible. However, what is undeniable is this email that says, hey, can we get some stuff that looks like it's game used?
It made me laugh.
Regards, Eli. It's pretty much what it is.
It's nuts, right? But you could win Super Bowls back in the day. We saw. I mean, think about Bart Starr. I mean, I guess he's a legend, certainly. But I don't know. If you look at, I was looking at a number when I was thinking about this the other day. The all-time players that have made multiple starts in the Super Bowl. I was thinking, was there ever a time where certainly a Super Bowl quarterback that you wouldn't necessarily say was the cause for their team's Super Bowl championship?
Brad played really well for the Bucs that year, but he wasn't the reason the Bucs were in the Super Bowl. And then there's Trent Dilfer, of course, for the Ravens who won in 2000. And that's the poster boy, Super Bowl champion quarterback.
But I'm talking about guys that have made multiple starts in
multi-starts, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, poor Fran Tarkenton was a dynamic quarterback, but he went 0 for 3 as a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl for the Vikings. Eli Manning is a good quarterback, and that argument is interesting with Eli Manning because his runs in the postseason, especially on the road and adverse conditions, to go 2-0 and do the things that he did with road wins and play as big as he did. But really, when you look at Eli Manning, I mean, I don't know, of all of the guys that have started multiple Super Bowls, I mean, would you take Jim Kelly, who went 0-4 over Eli Manning? I'd say yes, you'd take Jim Kelly. Would you take... Yeah, obviously you would take all the greats like Joe Montana and John Elway. John Elway went 2-3 in 5 Super Bowls, but obviously Elway is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Clearly, you're going to take Tom Brady. I would take Fran Tarkenton over Eli Manning, even though Fran was over with the Vikings. I might not take Lynn Dawson, who went 1-1 in the Super Bowl. Would you take Russell Wilson over Eli Manning? He's 1-1.
No, I would not.
You would not.
I would take Eli Manning.
You think Eli Manning's a better quarterback than Russell Wilson?
Different question.
So you think
in the situation?
Oh, come on now. The Seattle Seahawks are a blown call away. I mean, run the ball.
Should run the ball.
And he's going to be 2-0 in Super Bowls. What are you hold? You're thinking that he was the reason that they?
No, I'm just saying that Eli had a knack, man. When he had that look in his eye, because it wasn't just about the playoff runs and going on the road and winning those games. There were December starts where he was down 3 or 4, and he had to go lead the Giants on a drive.
He's had a knack, there's no doubt.
When Eli gets hot, I'm taking Eli over a lot of quarterbacks. But the problem is he's cold for 75% of his playing days.
Yeah, he's just not. He doesn't.
I mean, it's not like Russell Wilson went out and won Super Bowl #1 for the Seahawks. That was all defense. That was Peyton getting bludgeoned.
Well, and also they had a beastly running back who could. Well, what you'll find in any Super Bowl winning team is that they have talent everywhere. You don't get to the Super Bowl, luck your way to the Super Bowl too often. There's usually an awful lot that happened along. Look, that Giants team and if you think about the Giants twice with the Patriots, right? I mean, that first time, that defense just bludgeons.
I would take Kurt Warner over Eli Manning in a heartbeat. He's 1-2 in Super Bowls.
That's right, you would, because he's better.
Oh, hell yes, he is. And he threw a pick six, the most memorable pick six that it probably is. In the first half of a game, yeah.
I'm trying to
closes out the first half, and Larry Fitzgerald nearly makes a tackle running 100 and however many yards because he had to come across the field.
Jim Plunkett played in 2 Super Bowls. Bob Greasy with a couple of wins in the Super Bowl as well. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger, who's really, really good. If you go back through Super Bowl winning quarterbacks all time, on that list, there's a time in the 80s and 70s where you'll find guys that are not transcendent talents. They may have had great success. They may have put up good numbers and had great careers, even Hall of Fame careers. Terry Bradshaw was a Hall of Fame quarterback. I saw Terry Bradshaw play the back end, but I saw him win Super Bowls. And, if you compare him to today's quarterback, you wouldn't be in awe of Terry Bradshaw. In no way would you be in awe of Terry Bradshaw. He's a good player. Lynn Swann certainly helped. Steel Curtin certainly helped. I mean, they're not he's not the fixture. He's not the guy that you look to, and when you're thinking of the Steelers winning Super Bowls, you're thinking of Mean Joe Green. You're thinking of a lot of guys before you say Terry Bradshaw. But that era has shifted. It's changed completely. Now when you look, quarterbacks you have to have one. The rules are in place for a guy who gets it, a maestro who understands the offense and can call plays at the line of scrimmage. And so I laugh at these teams just falling over themselves to go get Mitch Trubisky, if that's real. You got to be kidding me.
Well, it's the age-old chicken or the egg question, though. If you don't have one, you got to keep trying to go get one.
You do, but man, not if you identify a guy that you think is just not.
If he's the best in the class and they have whatever it is,
Cleveland
5 picks in the first
philosophy.
65.
Cleveland used that philosophy more than once now to grab guys that make us laugh aloud because they needed a quarterback. But the guys, Johnny Manziel, we knew was never going to be a good starter, let alone an elite player. And they freaking drafted him in the first round. Well, just throw your damn money out the window. That's a clown show. Now I'm not saying.
What are you supposed to do if you're them though? Build everywhere else.
Hope
and
like
that
hell
you can,
somebody is.
You can be the Broncos from a couple years ago.
They're a long ways off. Whoever they drafted quarterback this year is not leading them to a damn thing because they're so far off. So identify more pressing needs.
Call Tony Romo and draft out the ass for these first 65 picks with your 5 picks.
I think you take cornerstones. You take things that you know are going to be a big part of your success 4 and 5 years from now. Players that can be there. Of course, nobody knows in a violent game like football whether or not somebody's going to befell an injury, something's going to happen. But generally speaking, a safe pick is an elite offensive lineman, somebody that you identify that can play left tackle for years to come. And you start there. And then you look at a guy like a defensive tackle or a linebacker or, and you go from there. And you hope, like hell, that as this building process is underway, you identify that guy at quarterback that there is. When the Bucs were fledgling and struggling as they were, we got lucky. The draft came around at a time where there were 2 guys really we thought had a chance to be successful because admittedly, even though I said I would take Jameis Winston immediately, that's my guy, I did say early on in the process that Marcus Mariota was a player that stood a chance to do better than all those other Oregon quarterbacks because he had a great arm, and we did think that he was a little bit different in that sense, that he made certain throws even within that offense that suggested he could translate somewhat. And he can't stay healthy right now, but he's been good. I mean, for 2 years in the league, he's been good.
Yeah, he's been a good quarterback. I'm not totally sold, but he's also put in a much, much better situation.
He has been, and I'm saying I would not have drafted him. I would have drafted Winston, which is what
Winston has done is so much harder. It's like flying without any navigation.
Well,
you gotta eyeball it and get that sucker on.
I think that's very true, and I think it's obvious to people who are paying attention without bias. They know that. They do know that. And he's getting some love from those people. Even those that were slow on the uptick, they have figured it out like, okay, he's probably the real deal.
It's like give one guy an offensive line that's pretty good.
A real running game.
A real running game with multiple weapons.
Right.
You got a good tight end, which is a quarterback's best friend. That's the cliche, right?
Very good tight end at that.
And a good defense.
Yeah. And a great Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. No, don't get me wrong. But I just thought that he was a viable pick. He was an option. So if you're a team like Cleveland, you're saying, well, we need a quarterback, but we also need a defensive tackle, 2 offensive linemen, a rush in, a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver. We need a safety. We need a lot of things. I don't like the crop of quarterbacks this year. I'm not going to force myself, just because we need one, to go grab Mitch Trubisky or anybody else in this of that. Now, listen, you want to go in the 3rd round or 2nd round, you find a guy like a Mahomes or something like that. You think, take a flyer. Might get lucky. You might get lucky.
But maybe they fundamentally disagree with you, and that's why they're the Browns. They think that Trubisky is worth trading to get because they do have 5 bargaining chips in the first, essentially, 2 rounds of the NFL draft.
Maybe they do. They can keep sucking. I mean, I don't.
They'll take your advice there most years.
I'm not. Look, it's easy to miss. It's easy to miss, but you're right. It's about a philosophy. And I think that even though we're in an era where if you don't have a quarterback, you have to draft a quarterback, so they say. If there's not one in a particular draft that you think, that's a guy worth taking in the first round, he's going to be a starter in this league for the next 10 to 15 years, then don't do it just to do it. Especially if you're a team that's a 12-game, 13-game loser, you need a lot of help.
They're Mark Reynolds or Giancarlo Stanton when he's scuffling. Weekend series, they're going to go 1 for 12, but they're going to hit that home run. But they're going to keep swinging, man.
One of these days, the Browns are hoping they're going to hit that home run at quarterback because go look at the litany of guys that they've swung and missed on.
The Cubs are World Series champions. It can be done.
Oh, they put it together. They had a plan. They had a GM with a clue who put together a plan, a game plan for putting together a great team and having it ready in a 5 to 7 year window. I don't think the Browns any given year seem to have a plan. It's sort of, well, we still need a quarterback. Yes, because you keep drafting dumbasses who have no shot to play quarterback.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
1, 2.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
There's a new 7-year tractor warranty in town. Now, only Mahindra tractors have the industry's best 7-year limited powertrain warranty. That's right, not 5 years, not 6, but a full 7 years. Only on the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Only at TNT Supercenter. Go see Clint and the friendly staff to get your next Mahindra tractor. TNTSupercenter.com.
Warranty on select models. See Mahindra warranty policy for details.
Hi, can I have 2 steak tacos?
Flour or corn?
Oh, no tortillas. And no steak. Also add turkey, lettuce, and tomato. And just put it between 2 slices of bread.
You know this is a taco truck, right?
As a small business owner, you've got enough to deal with. Let the experts at Progressive insure your business so you can focus on whatever that was. With over 30 commercial, auto, and business coverage options, we'll build a plan that's right for you.
Oh, I'll have Swiss on that too. Thank you.
Visit ProgressiveCommercial.com to get started. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Tonight, The Voice is live, and the fate of the Final 12 is in your hands.
So use those hands to grab your apps, vote live, and let your voice be heard, America.
Okay, who is going to get your instant save and make it to the top 11?
You know what? I want them all to stay.
Then after The Voice, it is a new comedy from Tina Fey and Robert Carlock.
2 of the very funny minds behind 30 Rock.
And they are putting those minds to good use. It is the premiere of Great News tonight, right after The Voice, live on
NBC.
That's one way to say it.
During Lowe's Ready to Restock event, Pro customers should get ready to save, with up to 20% on GAF shingles every day when they buy in bulk, and up to 20% on select Cobalt Mechanics tools through April 30th. Plus, from April 19th through May 30th, pros can trade in their old cordless tools in-store and get 24% off new Cobalt 24-volt brushless cordless power tools. Limit 1 per customer. Restrictions apply. See store for details. Shingle offer applies to contractor packs. Products vary by store. U.S. only.
If there's one thing the pros at Advance Auto know, it's parts.
Advance Auto Parts and Batteries, this is Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey. I'm on your website, and it says I can buy online and then pick up in store?
Yes.
And how long does that usually take?
30 minutes or less.
I need a battery for my 2013 Ford Escape.
Our Autocraft Gold, it's got a 3-year warranty.
Man, you really know your stuff. I'm 33. Am I too young for a cardigan?
Too young for a cardigan.
Advance Auto Parts. We know everything about auto parts. Order online at advanceautoparts.com and pick up your order in store in just 30 minutes.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car, a used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, We call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Freaking Jeff Hostetler, what a super. You don't remember him, do you?
I remember him from the Quarterback Club video game on Super Nintendo way back in the day.
Good Lord. Jeff freaking Hostetler with that mustache. Unbelievable. That clown show won a Super Bowl. Of course, Trent Dilfer did. Yeah, there have been plenty of guys that you go, he was marginal at best. Team won in spite of him. Jeff Hostetler, perhaps more than most, fits in that category. Most guys, you'd say, yeah, a really good player.
The unofficial number I got on Laureate was
Mark Rippon won a Super Bowl.
$158.5 million. So it's
So my man made 100. What was this?
Well, he made it 10 times more valuable, quote unquote. If
Just
you go
waiting.
by value, is what
Just
people are going to
waiting.
pay you. $1.6 billion, the reported price that a group headed by Jeb Bush and Derek Jeter are going to pay to Jeffrey Loria to purchase the Miami Marlins franchise.
Billion?
1.6 bill.
I think baseball's doing all right. It's a hell of a profit margin if you're telling me that Jeffrey spent $100+ million and has just sold the team for over $1 billion. Well, that's quite the investment. Nice turnaround.
Needed the city's help to get that stadium, though.
Oh, well, there were all kinds of illegal nonsense that goes. Well, this goes on with sports franchises across the country, though. It's not unique to him. I will say that. He's the poster child. They run him up that flagpole all the time. Man, these owners bilk cities and screw people left and right. It's remarkable what cities will do for sports franchises. How they'll help owners do things that nobody should. It's a scam, and they're always promised. Oh, but we're going to long term. It enriches the city and the citizens of that city and
jobs it creates.
Jobs, yeah, all kinds of studies that show that's just not true. In some cases, it is. Some cases, it is, but not always. Anyhow, that's a hell of a. Woo. Hey, speaking of money, and I don't normally go in on anything NASCAR, but I'm going to do it because I heard our own Lee Gordon mention that, in fact, Dale Jr. is retiring, and I thought to myself, oh, that's a good move with all the concussions he's had, right? And give Jr. credit for as much as I make fun of kind of the rednecks of NASCAR. He has done an awful lot to try to draw attention to sports-related concussion and brain injury studies, and he realizes and recognizes it's time to walk. But I went and did some checking because I wouldn't know, other than I know who he is, certainly, son of legendary number 3 to the sky. Earnhardt made his first career Cup Series start back in '99. He did so at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'm noticing that he is in his 18th full season at the Cup level, so almost 20 years of racing cars. 600th career series start earlier this year in California. All right, he has 26 career Cup victories, and that includes a pair of Daytona 500s, which for that sport is a big to-do. And he's just 43 years old, and he was married in the offseason, and he wants to start a family. So this all seems like the right time. But I also noted He's worth an estimated $300+ million. So I got to tell you, if I'm in my early 40s, I've survived over 600 races, I want to settle down and have a family, and I'm worth over $300 million, you're damn right it's time to walk. I mean, that is obviously an ultra-dangerous sport. People die. His dad did, doing that very thing. I'm getting out sooner. I don't know what took so long. I think if I'm racing cars, now I get it. These guys have a passion for that sort of thing, and because that's completely foreign to me, look, I like a nice car as much as the next guy. That's why I went to Kraft Nissan. But that said, they are cars. It doesn't move me the way that it stirs certain other people.
Well, beyond the fact that this, a Nissan town, Tallahassee is a Nissan town.
No, but I'm saying, like, I like a nice car because I like a good Bose sound system in my car and leather seats and all that. That's cool. I like that. I like amenities. But I don't sit around talking about the engine. These dudes do. They are gearheads. They care deeply about that.
You just leave it to the professionals at Kraft Nissan.
That's exactly what I do on the regular. I don't worry about it.
I did it too.
Because I don't have to. But that said, I do know racing's dangerous. I do know that dudes die. I do know that you go sliding into walls, and there's a good chance that if you continue to race with each passing year, you're tempting fate. If I've got $100 million, if I'm racing and some of these guys are in their 20s worth $100 million, early 30s, peace out, man. I made it.
Well, and he's a strange cat as I understand it. I know somebody who worked with his empire, because obviously he has the dealerships and Hendrick.
Well, that's another reason to retire, right? You've got money coming in hand over fist for the rest of your life.
Yeah, a place he was heavily involved with, Hendrick Motorsports and all that. But he'd have a compound with the main house, and then either his pit crew or his advisory staff, they'd have little houses in the compound. And the closer that you were to
closer
Dale,
to God.
Yeah, but he would move you around.
Oh,
he'd move you up on out of the house if you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, and he'd move somebody else in there as a reward.
Ooh.
And then also, if they won a race,
incentivized housing.
The 26 races, I suppose. But if they won a race, they had a super fan who would send major chain pizza to them, just a whole bunch of pizzas for the whole crew, like a fan.
Just a fan who really likes him?
A crazy fan would send
Obviously
him a whole
crazy.
bunch of, I'm talking, by the dozens of pizzas.
Well, you'd have to. He's got a whole crew on the compound, apparently.
And they would shut down their dining room, and then they would enjoy that instead
They'd eat
of
their
their
pizza.
5-course meals. Yeah. He's a weird guy.
Weird rich-ass guy who's walking away at the right time.
They call you eccentric if you're rich.
And I'd like to be called that. I would love it. Old eccentric-ass Cameron's riding out. Yep. Yes.
Shirtless again.
Yeah, look
on
at him just
I-10.
walking around. It's like he's got no money at all. Just doesn't care. That's also known as FU money, John. That's true, Jerry.
A better plan.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
Shot, save, rebound, score!
The
Playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot.
The Corner Pocket on Appalachian Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, beer bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget.
For the championship.
The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
This morning you're up early because you're at the DMV. So many people, it takes so much time. Do you have the right form? Are you in the right line? Your number E42, right after C23. This is confusing. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
Find coverage based on your budget today. Stay in control of your spending. Insurance and your wallet splendidly blending. Be so happy, pappy, you'll just want to dance. Found a policy that fits you like painted on pants.
Get insurance based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201, 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Some big NASCAR news today. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who certainly is one of the icons in NASCAR history, has decided he will retire after this year. The 42-year-old has 26 wins and 603 starts. Certainly a Hall of Fame career ahead of him. Florida State baseball taking on Stetson tonight. A quick one-game set before returning home for 3 games at Dick Howser Stadium over the weekend against Virginia. Well, Miami still isn't close to announcing their starting quarterback for the 2017 season, but they did just lose a quarterback this morning as redshirt freshman Jack Allison has announced that he will transfer. A new law signed recently by Oklahoma's governor could be used by universities to sue athletic boosters whose actions lead to NCAA sanctions. And one of the biggest free agents in the NFL has decided on a new home. Adrian Peterson signs a 2-year contract with the New Orleans Saints.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is a fun song. Yep. I'm glad we had the censored version. I was like, did we do the right? Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
no,
you gave me the censored version.
I'm like, I thought I
heard
might
that.
have. I was hoping. Oh, yeah, there's some things on there.
Didn't let me know that was the uncensored or the
It was the
properly
censored version. Yeah, it was the
version.
properly
Yeah.
censored version. It's the right thing to do. Good point, TPE. As usual, another issue with reaching for a quarterback makes it tough to justify drafting a better one that emerges in the next couple of years. Yeah. In that case, though, that's one of those times where I would tell an organization, well, go ahead. I mean, he's obviously a loser. Let's move on here.
Well, especially
if
with
you've identified the right one.
Yeah, it should be easier in theory now too. Obviously, with the salary cap structure on rookie contracts and the slotting of what the number one pick is valued.
Oh, it's much easier than when they were giving him $59 million.
Right, when you took Sam Bradford, if you're the St. Louis Rams back in the day,
you better ride that out.
Right, then Andrew Luck came around next year, and you were drafted number one overall.
But that's where I'm okay. So that's a great point.
Thank you.
In the sense that, look, it's not hard to project some of these can't-miss guys. Andrew Luck was, Jameis was. There have been some others. Now, again, it's not foolproof. You got it. I mean, you could draft a guy that had a tremendous college career. All the measurables are in place. Big arm, smart kid. And for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. He goes to the wrong team, wrong system, doesn't get along with the offensive coordinator, doesn't get the system, whatever. Injuries, lots of things happen that prohibit guys from reaching their potential. And I really do believe a lot of it does have to do where you're going. Now, there are guys that would make anybody better. And those guys are slam dunks, like Andrew Luck, like Jameis Winston, like there have been a number of guys where you go, ooh, he's going to be good, going to be really, really good. And it turned out that way. Others, a little bit of a project, I got you. And I'm more forgiving for the projects that don't make it. Sometimes it's just wrong time, wrong place.
Oh, most people point to the situation with, Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning, how they were both considered, can't miss prospects. And which one would you rather have? But you're getting two stars here. But, then you look at his little brother with Eli, Rivers, and Roethlisberger. I mean, sometimes you hit on all of them.
Yeah, they all work out.
It doesn't matter. It's a crapshoot every time. And some years it works out to the point
but
where.
But some, there is more evidence.
Sure.
That suggests they're not going to be bust. They're going to be viable quarterbacks in the league than others. Like, obviously, you would not have graded Andrew Luck the same way you grade Johnny Manziel. He's a clear reach, but they were both drafted in the first round. I mean, you do what you can to protect yourself when making these picks, although you do so with the knowledge there are no guarantees. But when you brought up the comparison of, okay, so Andrew Luck comes along a year after Sam Bradford, is that accurate? Was that a year?
I don't know if that's No. I'm just using that as an example if you're an organization.
Right. Let's just use a situation where there are times where it's that striking, okay, where there's a clear-cut guy and there's another guy you're like, all right.
Could be in every week kind of, solid 15th, 16th best quarterback in the NFL. We found that out pretty early, that Bradford might be above average, but he's never going to be
elite. He's never going to be
Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Okay, so if you're in need of a quarterback and the Browns are in perpetuity and you're looking at the next 3 years, I mean, it's not hard. I mean, it wasn't just those of us around Tallahassee that recognized there might be something special brewing with this kid who just damn near pitched a perfect game against the Pitt Panthers for all the world to watch on a Monday night, right? I mean, people saw that kid and went, whoa, what do we got here? And most people recognized right away. From that point, it became an exercise in nitpicking about certain aspects of his game, forcing balls for interceptions that he doesn't need to, not taking certain teams seriously, and trusting too much in his arm, and little things like that. Of course, there's the off-the-field stuff that people wanted
not
to jump
checking
on.
the ball down.
Right. But that was because you had to nitpick, because all the other big stuff that you check off were there. Big, strong presence in the pocket, competitive desire, big arm, brain, whole deal, right? And that was all. Check. Gets the ball down the field, likes to challenge defenses, forces you to cover the entirety of a field, checks to right protections, understands what he's looking at. I mean, check. What can we do? Well, he throws a few too many interceptions for my liking. And I do, at the very least, even if you don't think he's criminal-minded, he has been incredibly immature. So, okay, that's what you had to do because all the other stuff was in place. Well, then if you're the Browns and you've reached for guy after guy because you're desperately in need of a quarterback, and they are, that route hasn't worked, man. Wait till you find a guy who more fits that mold, the aforementioned Jameis mold, where you go, there are no guarantees, but Big arm, great pocket awareness, intelligence, strong kid, stretches the field, checks the right plays, hard worker. Okay, we're going to go with him. He's not coming out for another year, so we're not drafting quarterback this year. Let's just wait on him. For now, let's start putting the pieces together. And I know lots of things have to go right for you. You can't guarantee it because what if you have a better season than you expected and now you're drafted 9th and he's going to be the first? I got it. We'll worry about it. But if you identify a couple guys like that in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll maneuver to do what we got to do to get him.
That's the important part. You can maneuver to do that, especially if you're in the Browns circumstance, because you have a handful of picks in the first 60 plus.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, no, you can go all in now, grab the guys that you need now in the draft, and just draft based upon best available and need. You have a lot of needs, and yeah, so take the best player on the board when it's your turn through the first 65 picks. And then next year, let's say you go 5-11 and you're picking 6th in the order, but you just made 5 picks in the first 65. Well, I can give away 2 firsts in order to move up 7 spots to go get the guy that I've tabbed.
Yeah,
I
this
can
is my
make
guy.
that St. Louis Rams type trade, or I can make that trade that the Redskins made if I think that for me, this is the guy we need, because I've already invested an awful lot in this year's draft. If you're the GM right now, you're not betting against yourself. You're thinking you're going to hit on 4 out of 5.
I think even the most confident GMs would count themselves very lucky if they hit on 4 of 5 picks.
But you got 2 in the first 12.
No, right. You're hoping not to miss those 2, but the rest are.
Well, Garrett's in the bank, so I mean, if you're anybody in the league would tell you that's or in the game of
Warren
scouting.
Sapp begs to differ, buddy.
Well, Warren Sapp begs to differ with a lot of things.
Yeah, like the law.
Sure.
Women,
like paying people,
prostitutes.
Yeah,
lots of things. Sure, go ahead.
Bills come due. But most people who are dialed in tell you that he's in a class by himself this year, in terms of low risk, high reward. And then everything else after that, you got some high-end talent, but you don't have another Garrett. So you like that one. So now you got 4 picks left, one of which is number 12. Another one is 33. That's a de facto first-round pick. I mean, damn it. So you do your job
so
here.
You could go, you could have a blast here. You could go Myles Garrett. I'm just going to give you a mock real quick because I pulled up the Browns picks and just want to have some fun with you. Now, again, you're drafting to need, but Myles Garrett is who you take first. And then depending on how things work out in front of you, you've got O.J. Howard. You've possibly got Trubisky to go there, or Deshaun Watson. Somebody, if you feel like reaching for a quarterback, I wouldn't there. You could look at Marlon Humphrey. You could maybe get a Jonathan Allen or a Reuben Foster. We're bettering our team now. We're starting to do some things here,
Okay,
right?
so let's say it's Garrett and Reuben Foster.
Okay.
Right now you're building something.
Now I'm building
you're
something.
You're at 33.
Yeah, and so now, listen, there are a lot of talented guys obviously still sitting around at 33. I mean, I may have a shot at if I want an outside linebacker, I could go, or if I want an end, if we're still going there as a position of need, Taco Charlton might be around there. I could go. I could go guard there. I could go with the Forrest Lamp kid. I got guys.
Boy, if Taco's at 33, I might be a little disappointed no matter who we get. I like Taco. I think he's going to be a good player.
What if Gerard Davis is still 6? Yeah, he could be there. The linebacker out of Florida.
All of a sudden, you're building one badass defense.
You really want to wait a while? You can go down in that second round and grab a Deshaun Kaiser. Big NFL arm, big strong kid that you can let develop. And if he doesn't work out, you drafted him in the second round. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You met some needs sooner than that in the first round with your defensive end and your linebacker or your corner and your offensive lineman.
Go get me Myles Garrett, Reuben Foster, and a little DeMarcus Walker love later on in our selections. Woo! Now we're doing some things.
I mean, you got guys. You could there's a chance that I'm not a Browns guy, so I don't know what they need and what they don't need. But that's a sample of. Well, they needed a lot. I know that, but it's a sample of what you could do there. You could just grab.
You know how much they need. You just don't know what specifically.
What's more than others, right? I mean, there's probably a need at 9 different places, but yeah, you could go that route. So, are we now of the mindset with this projection that in 2 days we're going to hear Christian McCaffrey's name before we hear Dalvin Cook's?
That's the way the world says it's going to be.
The world, huh?
Yep, that's right. They say that he's not going to fall beyond Carolina at 8.
Really?
That's something else. I'll be watching, interestingly,
Christian McCaffrey at 8 overall. Now, here you and I side.
That's the hot button of the now, and you know how this game plays.
Here's what we disagree on. You say that all we would be doing is grabbing maybe a slightly better version than what we already have as a slot receiver if we took Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, I'm saying diminishing returns. I'm saying Ryan Switzer is available in the 5th round. He gives you returning ability and slot receiver ability.
I don't love
Are the
Ryan
10 carries that Christian McCaffrey is going to get that he can give
But
you?
here's where you're underestimating. I don't think that Switzer and some of the other guys that you're talking about are matchup nightmares for opposing defenses. To cover him in the slot is much different covering Christian McCaffrey than it is Switzer.
We're certain of this?
I think so. Yeah. I do. That's where I think he is special.
You think he's a special slot receiver?
I do.
You think he's Wes Welker, reincarnated if Wes were dead?
Wes is like, I got to come back as a little
You know,
white slot receiver. You already were a
Looked
little
up his
white
40.
slot
He ran in the
receiver.
4.6s back in the day. To clean up something, too, the Patriots did give up a second-round pick and a
Yeah, they recognize that he's a badass. He was a matchup nightmare, shifty. Nobody could cover him. That was the problem. He had good hands.
But
He's
he's perfect
tough.
for them. He was a perfect fit for them.
Right, but he was tired of watching that guy beat them. I mean, he did well when he was with the Dolphins, and that's why he said, who is this a-hole that keeps killing us? I can't scheme enough for him. He's killing me. And that guy kind of knows what he's doing, and he couldn't do it. So he said, well, I want him. That guy's ridiculous. I want him. Yes, I do think McCaffrey could be that. I think he's that kind of a problem
So you think
matchup.
he'll be phased out of being a running back?
Yeah, I think they'll use him obviously they'll use him as a returner, as a punt returner, and then they'll use him in the slot, and then for 5 to 7 carries as a running back? Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not making the case for him right
Sure.
now. And I certainly don't want him at 8. But where we disagree is you're comparing him to a 5th round guy. And
Well, I'm saying if you're
he's
going to
markedly better
I'm saying
than Switzer.
In Tampa, if you're going to plug him in where Humphreys is, I don't know that
He's
it's
better than Humphreys.
Is the upgrade worth spending the 19th pick in the draft?
Not in Tampa, I don't think it is, but I think he'll be a lot better than Humphreys. I think Jameis makes Humphreys myself.
Well, then that's great. Then you don't need to spend the pick on
but I'm
McCaffrey
saying
because Jameis makes players better.
But yes, he does. And can you imagine what McCaffrey would do after he gets the ball? I mean, I a little bit more than Humphreys.
I don't know.
Oh, a little.
I think he'll be. No. I'm not talking about him versus Humphreys in the open field, man. I'm just saying in terms of what you're asking a slot receiver to do. I mean, so you think McCaffrey is one cut and gone out of the slot? I don't think so. I don't think he's top end like that.
I also think he's make you miss.
Yeah, he can make you miss.
I think he makes you miss, and he's not slow.
It could be 3rd and 10, and he catches the ball 6 yards past the line of scrimmage, makes a guy miss, dives forward, and gets you first down. He could be that type of guy. But I mean,
I'm going to give him more.
There are a
chunk
lot of
plays.
dudes like that.
I'm going to give him more chunk plays than that. I think, but we're talking about matchups. We're talking about matchup problems. If you have the other aspects covered with a big wide receiver, a burner out on the edge, which the Bucs now have. Now, granted, you still would need a real running back because I don't think he's that.
Well, and this is where I even last week I said I agree. It does kind of fit in that sense. If you got a big guy, you got a burner, and then you've got the quiz in the backfield. And
but you still need a tight end. I mean, all you have now is a serviceable tight end, and you don't have a real good running back.
But isn't that a fascinating question, too? You hit on it with Jameis. Jameis makes players better.
He does.
So how much do you really need to upgrade a certain position if he makes you inherently better? Like, why do you need to improve on having Dallas Clark if you were the Colts back in the day?
Well, Dallas Clark was different. Now, Dallas Clark stretched the seam. When he first came in the league, he was a different player.
Antonio Gates or Jimmy Graham or Tony Gonzalez.
But that was prior to us deciding that basketball players should be tight ends. I mean, Dallas Clark was a really good – we're forgetting how good Dallas Clark was. You're not giving
I think Peyton Manning made an awful lot of players.
I think Dallas Clark was really good
that operated
at Iowa.
over the middle of the field.
Dallas Clark was a really good player. Yes, great players do that. And to some degree, certainly, I think we'd say Tom Brady has made every one of those little white guys in the slot really, really good. But Wes Welker was really, really good, legitimately. He was good. He was good before Brady got him.
I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm just saying that if he was available in, this proverbial draft, and you don't know he's going to have the career he's going to have. That's the other thing. You don't know that Wes is going to have that career. You're not taking that dude with those measurables in the first round. You stumble onto him.
With the way the game's played now with matchups, I do think you can.
He ran a 4.6.
I'm not saying I want Christian McCaffrey. Don't mistake it. I'm telling you, you discount Christian McCaffrey to an offensive level. But the McCaffrey.
I'm offending the race.
The McCaffrey. No. White, black, or otherwise, it's offensive the way you just discount McCaffrey like he's some fifth-round suck-ass. I'm telling you.
No, I'm saying that the margin between him and a guy like Switzer and what they can provide to your team.
I think it's pretty big. I don't think Switzer compares to McCaffrey. Just because they happen to do the same things in terms of what like putting position next to their name.
Okay, if you have a Mike Evans and a Deshaun Jackson in New England, then is the slot receiver position that much more meaningful to you? You know, that you need to go get a guy that you think could be a great slot receiver? No. Because if Brady had Evans and Deshaun Jackson, will we be talking about Edelman nearly as much?
No. But what they did have for a really long time was an elite tight end stretching the center of the field, the seams, which made it impossible for you to really focus in on any one guy. And if you got a guy that makes you miss in the open field out of the slot.
Two great tight ends at one point.
Well, right. One
One's
of them
dead now.
murdered somebody, the former Gator great, Aaron Hernandez. But I just wonder, listen, we don't have that tight end, and we don't currently have a real dynamic slot receiver. We don't. I mean, Humphreys is a tough kid who's made himself into a viable NFL receiver, but he's not special. I think McCaffrey is and certainly when compared to Humphreys, is a different caliber player.
Okay.
And so
I think the upgrade of the running back position that you would get from what you have to Dalvin Cook is so much more of a gulf between what you have and what you could be versus having McCaffrey in the slot over Humphreys.
But I'm going to make the same argument you're making to me. Chris Rogers looked really good with Jameis there, but I tell you what, that guy picked him up the scrap heap. He's having a few 100-yard games, and he's more than serviceable.
You got a guy with some different spooky skills in Dalvin Cook.
And I think McCaffrey is worlds better than Switzer in the 5th round. That's just... He's the same guy. You can get an undrafted free agent that does what McCaffrey does.
What? I mean,
Grab
how much
dude
does the
out of
return
Liberty.
game really mean? And Switzer was great at the return game,
Yeah.
first of all.
No, it's
Second
an
of all, their
added
40s
bonus.
are about the same.
And who's going to be better?
We'll see.
This is fun. That's why the draft is great. That's why they have us hooked.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
I'm a
they got
sucker
you.
for this
and
stuff.
The thing is, what ends up happening is that these competing thoughts, we could end up both being right. We could both be wrong. You could be right. I could be wrong. I could be right. You could be wrong. There are a lot of different ways that this works out, especially, and it all starts on that Thursday. I sound like I'm an advertisement for the NFL draft. Where he goes is going to be really, really a big deal. I mean, that with a guy like that is really true.
And
where he goes.
Worst case for me is he goes to Carolina
Yeah.
and he's beating the Bucs ass for the better part of 6
I'm like, look at that.
Twice a year I got.
We could have had his.
Twice a year I got to duck into my beer mug.
And I know what's going to happen. It's going to be funny. The first time he has a big game against us, and I just kind of look over there and give you the eye as that dude's torching us, and you're going, well, that's because, and you're going to give me 15 reasons why it's not really his ability. I know it's going to work. You probably already started to check, the checklist. Well, I'm going to mention first.
If Levante David is going to be isolated against him.
A number of guys would be doing this to Levante David. It's not just because it's Christian McCaffrey, Jeff. That's how that'll go down. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And DeMarcus Walker. All proceeds from the event benefit the Kids First Fund. So why not stop by Thursday night from 6 until 9 p.m. the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway for the WarChant.com Corner Pocket NFL Draft Party and Silent Auction.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa.
Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink. I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
This morning you're up early because you're at the DMV. So many people, it takes so much time. Do you have the right form? Are you in the right line? Your number E42, right after C23. This is confusing when your morning is hell. Just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
Find coverage based on your budget today. Stay in control of your spending. Insurance and your wallet splendidly blending. Be so happy, pappy, you'll just want to dance. Found a policy that fits you like painted on pants.
Get insurance based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay with Miller's Tree Service. When you need work done in your yard, you want a professional, someone you can trust to provide high-quality service and get the job done right. We've got 3 certified arborists and 6 work crews that can meet all your tree care needs. Hire the professionals at Miller's Tree Service, where we'll go out on a limb for you.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Commercial lawnmowers don't have odometers, but if they did, you might be surprised to see you could be mowing thousands of miles a year. That's why Gravely zero-turn mowers are built for the long haul. So when you're mowing the equivalent of Miami through Kentucky bluegrass country, all the way to Seattle, and back again every year, you can count on your Gravely zero-turn mower to get the job done, mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
0 money down and 0% interest with qualifying credit. Only at TNT Supercenter. Get your Gravely mower today.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car, a used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. Some big NASCAR news today. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who certainly is one of the icons in NASCAR history, has decided he will retire after this year. The 42-year-old has 26 wins and 603 starts. Certainly a Hall of Fame career ahead of him. Florida State baseball taking on Stetson tonight. A quick one-game set before returning home for 3 games at Dick Howser Stadium over the weekend against Virginia. Well, Miami still isn't close to announcing their starting quarterback for the 2017 season, but they did just lose a quarterback this morning as redshirt freshman Jack Allison has announced that he will transfer. A new law signed recently by Oklahoma's governor could be used by universities to sue athletic boosters whose actions lead to NCAA sanctions. And one of the biggest free agents in the NFL has decided on a new home. Adrian Peterson signs a 2-year contract with the New Orleans Saints.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. But if you do, remember this. We'll post all 3 hours as soon as the show concludes, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. And we'll do so with limited commercial interruption. That's a good thing. It's because we have a great sponsor, Carlton Dean, carltondean.com. Go find out how to make money in commercial real estate from my man, Carlton Dean. The fine folks at Southland Commercial. Email the show if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app works for Android, iPhone, doesn't matter. All your mobile devices, use that, and you can watch us perform the show. Hello, everybody. If you're tuned to YouTube, man, this thing just turns for no damn reason. Of course, there is a reason. It's because I bump stuff. But anyhow, that's the camera I'm talking about, and it's on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. Hello. You good over there?
I'm great. How
I'm
are
ready
you?
to go. I'm ready for the NFL draft. We'll be on Thursday over at Seventh Hill Tap Room, in part because it's in build-up to the draft. But in reality, it's an opportunity for you guys to bid on some great items, right? So let's get that out there now on Appalachia Parkway, Seventh Hill, corner pocket upstairs. Got a chance at, I don't know, some cool Florida State stuff from Orchard.
Sure, we have stuff in the studio. One photo in particular signed by Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston, we do.
And that's down.
You and I bid on that together. We went in on it together.
That's correct. We did. And now it hangs here in the studios.
It does.
And according to the flyer I'm looking at here on warchant.com.
Got a flyer.
It's from 6 to 9 p.m.
How about that flyer lie I had the other day?
Oh, the flyer lie?
Where I sailed the green.
What did you hit? You did like a 6 out of there?
No. I had an 8-iron out of there and sailed the green from like whatever we were.
That was,
It was a 9. It was a 9 I hit out of there. 190 something, and I couldn't believe
90
it.
something.
It was all downhill with the wind. It went crazy. It was silly. It was
like 160. That was a whole
it
number.
Was like 160.
No, it was 16. It was the one that bends back
I said
to
it was
the
like
right.
160. Yes.
You said 190.
No, I agreed with you when you just said 160. I went, yes, it was 160. That's why I was shocked, because there was no way I thought I could hit it beyond that.
No, he flew it into, there was construction going on in the back of the green.
About hit that poor bastard back there working hard. Yeah, I felt bad about that. Anyhow.
Well, according to the flyer, it's from 6 to 9 p.m. is this silent auction and draft party. And DeMarcus Walker, Dalvin Cook signed memorabilia will be available for auction. All proceeds benefit the Kids First Fund. Good cause.
It is a good cause, and there is always really cool stuff. I bought my dad something there a number of years ago. And, he's got the man cave, like a legitimate man cave with the theater seating and everything like that. Yeah. And he's got it up now. It's a fantastic thing. Some really cool stuff. It's a signed Winston thing that I got, shockingly. I mean, who would have thought I'd grab a signed Winston thing?
Like you, of all people. Surprised it's not behind you anytime you go on SportsCenter. They get the video patched
Championing
in.
the cause, right?
Wearing the jersey, then you have the signed, photo.
Baseball tonight, it's against Stetson and the Knowles. We'd like to think we'll get a win. Certainly, we hope that is the case as the lineup looks good. Lineup's offensively sound these days.
However, it looks like Red Applin was scratched late in the going. He was originally posted on the FSU Baseball Twitter as part of the lineup, but about 5-6 minutes ago they said no Red Applin tonight. So hopefully he's okay.
Actually, I got it all screwed up. They're underway right now in DeLand against Stetson. Started early.
They really started 5?
Yeah, they
Well,
started
how about that?
55 seconds ago, Tom Lang. And that's where they're at. Nothing in the first. Walls, Busby, Luke.
Not used to the 5 p.m. start. That kind of threw me off a little bit.
Gonna win that game. And then they got the big series against Virginia this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. We'll segue the golf tournament on into some great baseball later on that evening against Virginia. Should be a beautiful weekend. And when they take 2 of 3 from Virginia, are you going to begin to believe, Tom Lang?
I'll say it was
come on
fun.
over, buddy. You will. You can play that clip. Go ahead, Coach.
It was fun.
Could be fun. Now, don't go losing today and then losing that first game and taking all the air out of my momentum here.
It was fun.
I'll tell you what I was surprised by has nothing to do with nothing. I'll get to more sports momentarily. We are excited about the draft. We spent the better part of the last 2 hours talking about the draft, debating certain players, having fun as people do around this time regarding the draft and what your team should do or that team should do. And, of course, we all have an opinion about what everybody else's team should do because we're all experts on other people's teams. Well, those losers are probably going to take so-and-so.
Oh, you could use a receiver.
Yeah.
You're clearly going to take a guard here.
You know what you do with that? It's fun with your friends. It's a way to insult their team and do so under the guise of trying to look out for them. That's the sad part of it, is that we all can do that. It's like complimenting somebody before you lower the boom. You know, you have lost weight. I've been very impressed with how much weight you've lost. There was a time I did, certainly with the way that you don't like to work out, I didn't think that would, people do that. They give you a compliment before the shot. So
man, Fournette, that's a great pick, Jags fan. Last year I really thought you guys had a home run with that draft, but it just
turns out I was wrong.
Fournette could be the pick.
Yeah,
this
could be the one. Seems like the right pick. I think I'd have gone there too. Hopefully it's not.
I thought you were going to be just as good as you guys did on draft night.
I mean, I remember projecting 10 wins. What are you going to do? Yeah, so here's that's what's fun about the draft is telling everybody that, well, that's a great pick for you guys. When was the last time you had a good player at that position? But you also hate it, by the way, when you're recognizing that the team you dislike and hold the most disdain for is having a great draft.
Mm-hmm, sure.
You're like, that was a pretty good pick. And then you turn to your friend who also hates that team. That was a good pick. That was a smart move on their part.
Boy,
if they turn right around
up for
and grab
Julio
them,
Jones.
that was a good pick. We're screwed.
I think I have Roddy White and Julio Jones.
Good Lord, this is going to be a problem for us for years. And that's a perfect spot for Freeman, too. Shoot.
Good self-censorship.
Yeah, you like that?
Your eyes lit up like you were about to.
I started thinking about it. Here's what I didn't realize, and it has nothing to do with nothing. It's not sports related in any way. But I will tell you, I was shocked today to find out that one of our favorites, Al Pacino, is 72 years old. You, I think, are decidedly less shocked. No, 77.
77.
He's not 72. 72 would not have shocked me. That's what we were talking about off the air. 77 years old for Al Pacino.
Now, I have come to the crossroads in my life.
Man, the end of your life is what you've come to, Al.
Now, I have come to the crossroads in my life.
I don't go too in on that because we're not that far away, Al. 30 years.
You're uncomfortable about the mortality of one Al Pacino.
I can't believe Al Pacino is 77 years old. I should not be surprised. First of all, The Godfather came out
72.
77. He's 77. He's not 72.
No. Godfather came out.
Oh, yeah. Damn it, we just... No, I said he was 72. You said he was 77. Now I'm saying he's 77. You're saying he's 72. Tommy's 77. Yes, in the year 1972, when I was in Holland, and I was 1. You're like, you were alive. Yes, I was alive.
I was in Holland.
I was
in that Vienna?
I was in Heerlen, Holland, and right next to Germany. And it'd be a little time before I came back to the States became American. But the point is that came out in 1972, and I'm 45, and Al Pacino starred in that movie, and so I ought not be so shocked that he's now in his 70s, albeit late 70s. I think I was more stunned by the fact that Heat came out 22 years ago. Heat came out 22 years ago. Would you have guessed 95?
Yes, I would have. I'm beating myself up over here.
What's wrong with you? Why you were 9 years old when Heat came out? Why did you know that?
It was one of the
Because
first.
it's a kick-ass movie?
Yes. And every time it's on, on the guide.
I watch it every single time.
Sure. And it
every
has
single time.
parentheses 1995. At some point, that etches into your mind.
That's good to know.
Like Happy Gilmore came out in 1996.
Decidedly not as good as Heat.
Almost as old as Heat, though.
Crazy.
Okay, Ocean's 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
The third installment of the Ocean
Not
series.
11, but 13.
13
Yeah.
came out in 2007, and he was old in that movie. That's why I feel like I'm not surprised here. He was old as hell in that movie. Crackly voice.
77. I guess
Diamantes.
I guess thinking that Heat being 22 years old is I think, I will say this, and this, I'm 45, you're 30, so our age difference, yes, occasionally we'll go, that is where it really clearly stands out. I remember games in which you weren't even born, such as the Mets winning the World Series in 86, the year you were born. Things like that. I'm in high school at that time. I can remember vividly.
2 days old.
You're being born. I'm a sophomore. That's the kind of stuff that blows me away. But will you, out of curiosity, perhaps the way that I will you be bothered when Al Pacino bites the dust?
Yeah, I will. Absolutely.
Will it make you feel like, ooh, and I've kind of grew up watching Al Pacino. This is a little weird.
I didn't realize he was that much older than my folks, but I always considered them to be peers because they, my dad loved The Godfather. They got married in 72, my folks did, and so there was always this, kind of parallel course that they were on. It's called time. But, we sat down, we watched The Godfather together. It was a big deal. So, Al Pacino was
What age
part
were you
of
when
it.
you watched The Godfather?
Oh, he let me watch it on
Like
TV
13
when I
years
was
old. Oh, on TV.
10. Wow, there really isn't that much in it, though.
Well,
from,
and also it's
from
TV.
a gratuitous
They're not
standpoint.
going to show you, yeah.
But even, in 72, what was considered gratuitous isn't nearly as bad.
Play the clip. Play Pacino's, some of his great moments. Here's why. Because, and we've had him in our system forever and a day. We've had a bunch of them. We use them all the time. I think every guy loves Pacino movies. I mean, there's so many to choose from. And depending on what you're looking for, you've got your clip. Now, later in life, he delivered every line the same way. He actually had nuance in his younger years. That's not true. These days, everything's just yelling. And it's all right because it makes us all laugh and it smiles and it's good yelling.
Well,
it's a good kind of yelling.
It's the Caliendo bit with him and De Niro from the old show he did.
Right.
And they talk about the movies that they're going to go see. You should go see him, at the movies. He goes, but Bobby,
yeah,
they don't have any cup holders. This I cannot do.
If you play the clip from The Godfather that I know we have in the system, the last ever is my favorite part of the line. It's the great exclamation point on the line and the one that's most ominous. The way it's said is almost sort of this ain't over. I'm not really forgiving you. This isn't really even advice. It's a temporary stay for your life. That's what that ever sounds like to me. Play it.
Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again. Ever. And Harry, Jimmy, Trent, wherever you are out there, you too. We're sitting here. You and I are like a couple of regular fellas. I mean, you do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
It's good stuff. 77 years old. You're not shocked. I'm shocked.
This is the rare on-air while he's alive eulogy. You're preparing yourself.
I don't know why, but I feel like he'll probably be dead in the next 5 years. Well, I do know why. He's old.
Cigarettes?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't probably. It doesn't seem like, from what I can tell and read, lived the most salubrious life. I'm sure somewhere in the early 80s, we're calling it a day.
Hear how, pure that voice was in The Godfather?
Yeah, then you hear it now?
It sounds like a different person.
Well, your voice changes over time. Yours has in the time you've been on the air with me, and mine has in the time that you've been on the air with me. And that it's forever changing, and hopefully for the better.
I could never get that gravelly, nor could you.
Oh, but I started that gravelly. Living a hard life back in the day.
There it is. You just summoned it.
Well,
life.
You remember listening to some of those old shows where you're like, ooh, my God, Cameron.
He hasn't slept. I can tell.
In days. And God knows what else kind of debauchery was going on prior to turning on that mic. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car. A used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much, way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
This morning you're up early because you're at the DMV. So many people, it takes so much time. Do you have the right form? Are you in the right line? Your number E42, right after C23. This is confusing. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
Find coverage based on your budget today. Stay in control of your spending. Insurance and your wallet splendidly blending. Be so happy, Pappy, you'll just want to dance. Found a policy that fits you like painted on pants.
Get insurance based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. Visit progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Milwaukee specials are heating up at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. M18 Fuel 2-tool combo kit, $100 trade-in plus free brushless Sawzall. Hurry up while supplies last. This great deal ends soon. $100 off most Milwaukee M18 Fuel kits. M18 Fuel, upgrade, outwork, outlast. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, the largest Milwaukee selection in the area. Big store pricing with local service. 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Avenue and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays at 8 a.m. until noon. Call them at 580-1200 or online at ctf.nu.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. So no former Saban assistant, you've seen that, right? Everybody's talked about that, has beaten him. And Fisher will have his chance. Well, of course, we think back to the game in Jacksonville against Alabama in that first year for Saban, but that was a year in which I think Louisiana Monroe, amongst other people, beat Alabama. So it wasn't quite fair to use that. But Jimbo was the offensive coordinator.
Talent gap might not have been that wide, though, back in those days.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, not in all likelihood. You're right. My question isn't to do with what we already know, which is that Saban assistants have not fared well against Alabama. Most of the time when I read that, it's not that I think, oh, well, he's still the master. It's he's got better players and more of them. I mean, when you play Alabama, they've got better players than you and a greater depth of said better players. And even if he outcoaches you, you might not know it because the better players are bigger, stronger, faster. And I could call anything I want in certain situations, and it may not make a difference. But do you think it's an advantage or disadvantage to be one of his former assistants in that matchup? I would think advantage, right? Especially if it's of the offensive variety.
I was going to say, it depends on what side of the ball you're on.
Yeah, I don't think it does you any good defensively. I don't think it makes any difference. You don't have his players. You're not, But offensively, I do think so.
Sure, and just a footnote to your point about it's hard to know whether or not he outcoached you because he has the better players. I think the one time we do know for a fact is the first round of the national title games with Clemson. And how he had to coach his ass off, then he dials up the
onside kick and the whole thing.
The way he was smiling after the game was over indicates to you that he knew he had to pull something
very satisfied
out of where the sun doesn't shine. He never looks like that. So, to your point, most of the time you don't ever see Saban break a grin,
right?
Let alone a full, toothy smile like he had in that game. I think if you're an offensive assistant, yeah, you have a better advantage than a defensive assistant. And I think you also have an advantage if you're Jimbo in the situation. Most coaches, I'm sure of it, that face Nick Saban are facing him on a week-to-week basis. They don't have the entire offseason to prepare. So, the Alabama advantage is not built in the way it normally is if it's just a random Saturday that follows the Saturday prior in the SEC. You got a whole offseason. The quality control staff gap is not nearly as big, is not nearly as meaningful.
That is, without question, an advantage. I thought if you're going to play Bama, I'd rather play him really early and break tendency. That's not something he can prepare for. Again, though, in quoting Fisher, and it's true for most coaches, you kind of are who you are. You're not going to vary too much. You're not going to radically alter what you do offensively. You have a philosophy that you abide by. But, of course, you do self-scout, and you certainly know that they do to the extent that nobody else can. So if you're going to get tricky, if you're going to be a little outside the norm or a little bit outside your comfort zone even, I would think it's this game. I would think you would do it here, although you run the risk of having that be the nightmare turnover that we saw from Bobby Petrino in Louisville a couple of years ago as they roll out a freshman quarterback and try a flippity-do against Auburn, and the whole world is going, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's hard. The chess game can come back to bite you if you overthink it. But, at the same time, they're already playing mind games, with their own roster mostly. But you saw Saban's comment after
comments
A-Day.
about, well, it's smart and it's not surprising. And of course, he enters that into the ether, right? He puts that out there, and now that will be picked up because everything he says is picked up. It will be written about, and then he'll be able to turn around, even though he's the one that projected that or took that stance. He'll now use that months from now to tell his team, look what they're writing about us. Look what they're saying Florida State is and what we are. And, of course, he introduced the very idea of that, if people buy it.
I think the great thing, though,
But
is
kids do.
You and Ira talked about this yesterday to a degree. It's a heavyweight fight for the two defenses. It's a title fight.
It's Derwin James, to me. This is you want to talk about, okay, so the larger discussion about Derwin James' outside shot of being recognized as the best player in college football and thus actually belonging in the Heisman conversation. We always know that defensive players aren't bestowed that honor, although Jabril Peppers, despite not having numbers, was a guy that legitimately was talked about in that way, and we all kind of rolled our eyes, but he was. Derwin could be the do-all guy that they were talking about Peppers being, and I'm not trying to besmirch Peppers. I'm just saying Derwin is a freak, and we know this, and he's going to be used in a variety of ways, including getting to the quarterback. And this whole, if we're doing that matchup thing, when I get giddy talking about the game, if Dad calls me and says, hey, what do you think of that game, by the way? Have you given any more thought about that game? I say, well, Dad, we're months out. I still have plenty of time to do my research on Alabama. I can make certain assumptions about them safely every year, and that is no matter how much they have to reload their front seven, which they do, and no matter how many guys have taken off for the NFL that are going in the first round. See, it's one thing to lose guys to the NFL draft. We know that there's a difference in losing guys that are first-round caliber players to the NFL draft than guys that graduate or get taken in the sixth round. You're talking about elite of the elite of the elite that you're replacing. But Alabama is the one team typically that literally can, because they have time and again replaced first-round talent, not just guys that go to the league, but first-round talent with more first-round talent. So I can safely assume that even though they're replacing beasts across the board in that front seven, they're going to be good players. They're going to be elite players. They're going to be first-round caliber athletes. So, yeah, I can assume those things, but I will say that without having to do any more research, don't we feel like this is a Derwin James, Jalen Hurts game? Isn't this about what he does and shutting down Hurts as a runner? He's your guy to shut down Hurts, the runner who will kill you with his legs. He's not just a good runner. He's a beast, as we saw, as a runner. His size, speed, strength. He's obviously very, very, very talented when it comes to that. You got to make him beat you throwing the football, and the guy that keeps him from running all over you is Derwin James.
Yeah, I think it's he or a Trey Marshall can do it too, and obviously they like...
He's suspended for a half.
I know. They like Levante Taylor also in the slotted star, and that's something that they can do with Nate Andrews rotating in.
Heavyweight matchup, Derwin.
I think it's Derwin versus Bo, too. Scarborough, man. I mean, that is a...
But see,
those two suckers coming full speed at each other at the point of attack.
Oh, it's a fun thing to think about, but I also believe we're big enough up front in the interior, deep enough not to get worn down there. I think we've got a couple of linebackers with some punch, so they'll be able to handle that, I'd like to believe. If they can't, we're going to get blown out. But let's just say we can handle that. Point of attack, stick your head in there, be a man. That's fine. Hurts running, getting to the outside against James.
It's up there.
That's the matchup, man. Ooh, I get giddy about that.
I
that
get giddy
fun.
when you list the assets, so to speak, that we have on defense.
Oh man,
and
this is a loaded defense.
You get 7 or 8 deep before you start having to think at all.
If Kelly screws this up, he's fired. There's just no way around this, right? Let's just say it. Some things require much more nuance, where you say, well, it's not ideal, but this, and we'll wait to see this, and if this happens, then maybe I'll entertain the idea. No, man. The way that was butchered to start last year, and we were humiliated, embarrassed with that talent, that was unacceptable. Everybody knew that was unacceptable. The head coach knew it was unacceptable. And we got to a place where it got better because the offense has changed and also the kids on the field figured some things out. And yes, he was befouled by injury and all that happened to him. I mean, obviously, when you don't have a healthy Noddy the way we thought we would coming into the season, when Josh Sweat's not healthy in the Louisville game, gets hurt the week of the Louisville game, that's a brutal blow, especially going against that offense. You know, we had a lot of obviously, Derwin was out for that game, amongst others. He got hurt so early in the season. It's a devastating blow. But it was still inexcusable to have people running cartoon video game numbers on your ass, doing whatever they want when you've got the kind of talent that Florida State recruits, and that can be directly blamed on the coach, either not getting them to understand the scheme we were running or doing a poor job of running the scheme as a caller. So at this point, there's not a lot of wiggle room there. Now, Alabama can beat you, and they may even wear you down, and the game looks lopsided. That's a different kind of loss than clueless dudes running around at the time the ball snapped and mass confusion, right? That can't happen, and there's too much talent here.
Well, I think one of the great things that we heard about spring, one of the few whispers, is just how involved Derwin is on the field at getting everybody where they need to go.
Sure.
Because they already respect him as it is. So, his word carries more weight. And he puts guys where they need to be because he understands the principles of the defense from standing on the sidelines for most of last year. If that's all true, that's the whisper. But if that's in fact true, then you love that check and balance that you can have him out there with a guy like Nate Andrews or Trey Marshall who's been here forever, and they understand the principles of where and when they need to be, especially when you're breaking in another corner. To me, I think the number one thing I think about and I get worried about is, let's say that our defensive line does what it's supposed to do and at least neutralizes Alabama's offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
We coming up to Phil at linebacker? Are we coming up to Phil here?
Jackson's going to come up to Phil, baby.
Jackson and Thomas, Rice, Roderick, Derwin, whoever it is. Like, who's it going to be that comes up and consistently is willing to deliver the punishment and take some punishment in the process? That, to me, if you can keep Alabama from gaining any sort of consistency in the ground game, all of a sudden you got third and obvious.
I got to make assumptions that the toughness that Jackson and others bring to the table, we talked about this at linebacker, we're getting tougher, we're getting stronger, we're getting deeper. You and I were both pretty impressed with some aspects of spring in that regard. The way Matthew Thomas ended the year. Think about the hit coming up in the hole on the goal line and all of that, right? I mean,
but that's got to be there consistently, not to be the head coach.
Don't you think, though, Alabama, what they are, who they are, that reputation, it makes it so easy to get players' attention and to implore them that their manhood, right? I mean, this is football at the end of the day is certainly a game of toughness. When you challenge kids who've been tough their whole lives, they've gotten to this place because of it, right? In many ways, they're tough on and off the field. If you challenge that masculinity, you want to say to them, got a chance here to be stripped of that if you don't bring it. And Alabama doesn't think you will. That's why they line up and disrespect you with every run up the middle that they call. It'd be easy to motivate that group in this game. Not so easy to motivate them against certain other teams whose reputation isn't that, whose game isn't on TV every week. That's when guys go through the motions. That's when guys kind of don't stick their head in there against a Wake Forest until you get gashed a few times, and then you got to pull a guy over to the sideline and you say, see why this happened? You weren't disciplined. You didn't take on the block. You didn't put your head in there and make the play. Let's go. Let's play ball. Against Alabama, I don't think you have to implore these kids to do that or to bring out the toughness.
No, and I think that's one positive thing about facing Michigan for the offense, for our offense, that you have that tape from the Orange Bowl. It says, okay, now look how physical these guys are. Get ready for that again, because Alabama might not be as experienced as Michigan was. Few teams ever will ever be.
The history of football had that many seniors, yeah.
But they're going to have just as much talent and just as much what for. And so here you go, guys. And that's the worry that we have. As Ira was listing off the candidates and the experience that goes with each candidate. Brand new left tackle. You're going to have a brand new left tackle against Alabama. Might have a brand new center. Have a guard that played half a year. Have a guard that played less than half a year. And then Rick Leonard was the defensive player of the spring 2 years ago, and he's going to be your right tackle.
So what's your game plan? It's certainly not double tights. We're going to run it down your throat.
I don't think so. And if it is, and it works, well, then by God.
What are we doing here?
That might be more of a revelation than when Jameis nearly threw his game against Pitt. You might go, well, who are these sons of guns?
Well, at that point, I'll just randomly grab sound bites that I've summoned over the years that don't even apply. I'll just run around the hotel room going, choo, choo, for no reason. It'll just be bizarre me. Suck it, Clemson. Suck it in 4, Florida State. I'm just randomly yelling things.
Hello,
yeah. If that happens, I'll turn to you in the box, in the press box. And we'll leave the press box so that we can go have a pop and cheer.
Hello, my friend.
But now we're in fantasy land in April is what we are. That ain't happening. We're not lining up and running down Alabama's throat. That's just dumb.
No, but it's fun just for a moment.
Well,
Wasn't
it's like
that fun?
dreaming about winning the lottery. Sure, it's fun. It ain't happening. So we're going to spread them out. That's the right deal there. Let's spread them out. Woo.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
A Hall of Fame career ahead of him. Florida State baseball taking on Stetson tonight. A quick one-game set before returning home for 3 games at Dick Howser Stadium over the weekend against Virginia. Well, Miami still isn't close to announcing their starting quarterback for the 2017 season, but they did just lose a quarterback this morning as redshirt freshman Jack Allison has announced that he will transfer. A new law signed recently by Oklahoma's governor could be used by universities to sue athletic boosters whose actions lead to NCAA sanctions. And one of the biggest free agents in the NFL has decided on a new home. Adrian Peterson signs a 2-year contract with the New Orleans Saints.
Thursday, April the 27th from 6 until 9 p.m., it's the WarChant.com Corner Pocket Bar and Grill Draft Party and Silent Auction. As your favorite NFL teams select their future stars, enjoy the first round with other Seminole fans, great drink specials, raffle items, and bid on signed Seminole memorabilia, including autographed photos from Dalvin Cook and DeMarcus Walker. All proceeds from the event benefit the Kids First Fund, so why not stop by Thursday night from 6 until 9 p.m., the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway for the WarChant.com Corner Pocket NFL Draft Party and Silent Auction.
Little tree service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay with Miller's Tree Service. When you need work done in your yard, you want a professional, someone you can trust to provide high-quality service and get the job done right. We've got 3 certified arborists and 6 work crews that can meet all your tree care needs. Hire the professionals at Miller's Tree Service, where we'll go out on a limb for you.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Blink 182, return, live in concert.
And that's about the time she walked away from me.
The Pavilion at the center of Tallahassee, May 3rd. With special guests, The Naked and Famous, and Waves. Get tickets now at the box office or online at tallypavilion.com. Blink 182, performing all the hits and songs from their brand new album. Check out Blink182.com. Presented by the Pepsi Concert Series, produced by AEG Live and Hookah.
Wondering where you'll be watching the NFL Draft? Let me help. Wings, beer, and Hooters girls. Hooters is Draft Central all 3 days of the NFL Draft, starting Thursday, April 27th at 8 p.m. as you cheer on your favorite NFL team. Upgrade any draft beer to a Big Daddy for just $1. Happy hour, 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, along with half-price apps. Remember, no great story ever started over breadsticks. Hooters makes you happy. 2000 North Monroe Street, online at Hooters.com, or call them at 385-2004. If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa.
Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
Commercial lawnmowers don't have odometers, but if they did, you might be surprised to see you could be mowing thousands of miles a year. That's why Gravely zero-turn mowers are built for the long haul. So when you're mowing the equivalent of Miami through Kentucky bluegrass country, all the way to Seattle, and back again every year, you can count on your Gravely zero-turn mower to get the job done, mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Zero money down and 0% interest with qualifying credit. Only at TNT Supercenter. Get your Gravely mower today.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Finally, the PGA waking up here, the USGA and the RA, telling people at home calling in rules violations to go to hell. Thank you. What are we doing, man?
I thought they already did that, but obviously they got the LPGA problem, and then somebody trying to call in on Sergio for the Masters.
Did they?
Yeah, something about what he did to the hazard on 13.
Man, this is crazy. For those that don't know, this is less a golf story and really more about people at home with no lives and just want to be angry. And you can't do anything about people who just want to be angry. We encounter them all the time because when you do a talk show and you give an opinion and people don't like the opinion, then they just get enraged. It's crazy. And they'll email and they'll call and, whatever. So I'm used to it. But it is sad how many people just sit around hoping to make other people miserable because their lives suck. What are you doing if you're sitting at home watching a golf tournament and frame by framing the previous round, the previous hole, hoping to catch the simplest of mistakes or smallest margin of error? That can't be seen with the naked eye. That literally would require you to frame by frame. It's nuts.
We all know what that existence is all about.
Here's the deal. The decision, 2 new rules, known as Decision 34-310. Yeah, whatever. Right?
They got to simplify those things.
Yeah.
Have you seen golf rule books?
They're absurd, yeah. When video evidence reveals things that could not reasonably be seen with the naked eye, a player will not be penalized. When a player has made a reasonable judgment, and it turns out it's a mistake, but they were intending to follow the rules, and it's a reasonable judgment, it's not something absurd, I think I should place it nearer to the hole. Then, that's...
Don't we all, Tiger?
Yeah, nicely done. Well played, sir. I was waiting to see if you could get that in. So, Lexi Thompson at the A&A penalized 4 strokes during her final round because a viewer at home emailed about Thompson's misplaced ball on the green in the 3rd round. The problem with that wasn't so much that she was penalized, I don't think, for misplacing the ball in the third round. To me, it was that they came up to her to tell her about the 4-stroke penalty she was being assessed in the fourth round, in the middle of playing the fourth round. But, man, that's not what we do. No. You can't, wait another whole day halfway through a round at a major that I'm leading to come tell me that, like they did Dustin.
Right, yeah. You think what they did with Dustin was bad, then this is just... And it got so much run in the golf world. I don't know how much it made it into the mainstream sports discussion, but...
Well, because you got a woman out there leading a major who's weeping in the middle of the course with the rules official saying, I'm so sorry, I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. That's brutal. So that was actually one of many call-ins and or emails that caused this to happen. It was a famous one in 2013 with Tiger Woods when he dropped his ball further back than they're saying he should have on the 15th hole, and he was penalized going into the third round.
Yeah, in order to give himself a flatter lie for the approach shot.
But remember, later on, there was a great article written about that, about how technically they think they misinterpreted that rule, that he wasn't in the wrong. I'll show you that article after the show. It's interesting. Later on, somebody came back and went, wait a minute, let's watch this again. I don't think it's what you guys think it is. And there was this great debate in the golf world once again about what happened with that. The first portion of the decision is simple and straightforward. If you could not have reasonably seen your air, i.e., a ball moving a millimeter, and you couldn't see it with the naked eye, and it could only then be revealed after a zoomed-in video, then they're saying, no, they're not going to apply a penalty to you there. And obviously that makes sense. And the most recent example they have also happened in a situation on the Women's U.S. Tour in the U.S. Open. Anna Nordqvist caused some sand to move in a bunker.
That's a no-no.
But it was so undetectable by the human eye, so she didn't know she had caused the granules of sand to move, okay? That somebody zoomed in and sent it in, and she was later penalized because the cameras were able to zoom to a place where you could see sand moving. Under the new rule, they would say that's no longer going to be the case. You would have to know that you did it. You would have to have put your club down, grounded your club, done something like that to cause the sand to move, and you would have had to been able to be deemed to have seen that you did this and then didn't call it on yourself.
What's interesting to me about this whole thing is golf is a different sport, and I get it because I played it for a long, long time, longer than any other sport. But it's like the camera is an extra rules official for finding an infraction. Typically when you look at review in baseball, it's for fair, foul, out, or safe. It's not for pine tar. The camera doesn't.
Right.
The camera doesn't alert you.
Further up the bat than it has a right to
or,
be.
if somebody's scuffing the baseball.
Right.
You're not using the cameras in that situation. The closest thing I think of is college football with the targeting rule. But even then, it's buzzed down, and
they say let's take a look at it,
or the official just calls it on the field, and then you review it. I guess in basketball for a flagrant. But it's not something that on its own stands as an official like it does or it did in the game of golf. It just doesn't make sense. You already have a rules official with you, on the course. And so you go to him for guidance in circumstances of how to navigate what might be a questionable position you're in. But the basics about grounding a club in a bunker or a ball oscillating off of its original place.
After you've grounded your putter.
After you ground your putter, or if you're trying to clear space in some pine straw, and you pull a piece of pine straw and the ball rolls off.
But you're in trouble there.
That's what I'm saying. But people know those rules.
Right. And they call it on themselves.
Exactly.
Most of the time.
That's the whole point of the sport, is that it's supposed to be an honorable sport where you're calling these infractions on yourself.
Well, let me ask you this.
Not Big Brother watching you and then...
But that's been going on for years. It's crazy. But that's what I mean.
It's different.
Do you think that exists in that sport? Let's just say it. Because it's a holier than thou, almost like a belief system amongst golfers that they're better than all other sports because they live by that credo. And therefore, even though I'm at home not participating in this tournament, you damn will live up to the code that we all, as golfers, whether professional or not, hold ourselves to. It's what separates us from all the other sports. That's the honor of it. And that's why I'm calling this in. Or do you think it's just losers deciding to make an impact on a sport that they wish they could play better?
It's the latter. It's the latter.
I mean,
I don't think it's the holier than thous. The holier than thous in that circumstance, you just kind of have to grin and bear it and go, well, then you're not a true golfer, and then move on.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys that, with golfers, they do wear as a badge of honor that it is a sport in which they call penalty on themselves, even when it's incredibly inconvenient. It has happened where guys have missed cuts because of it and thus lost their card. I mean, things like this occur where they've called penalty on themselves, and they do wear that as a badge of honor, and maybe rightfully so. They say, hey, listen, this is different from all other sports in that we are able to call in penalties on ourselves and do so as golfers.
I think that's also, you could be a loser at home making a phone call, and a golfer who says that can also be holier than thou and thumbing his nose for no reason. Because
it just every time I see a story like
corners
this,
are cut often in competitive golf.
Oh, especially when you're dealing with young kids.
Yes, in the high school ranks.
Game, yes. Country club kids.
Sure. And the AJGAs of the world. Yes, the junior golf tours. Oh, yeah. Come on now. What are we doing?
Their dads will not admit that, sir.
No, of course not. No, I'm talking about just random events. I'm not talking about anything in my past or bad blood. It. Kids have to learn eventually, but then you get to a certain place.
Happens in junior tennis, too, by the way.
And you're too afraid that you might not get away with it. I don't think there's
to
put golf in a different place
than
a major 4 sport, or a major 3 sport in America from the attitude of the athlete. Come on, man.
No, but golfers do that. That's why it rubs people the wrong way a lot of times. I mean,
they do, but I'm not saying that
and that's what I think that group, that annoying group that does that, is also a contingent of that group that's sitting at home going, "I'm going to get you."
You know me.
You uphold the code.
You know me.
I'll call it in.
Even when we're playing casually,
I'm
pretty hard.
We do the right things, yeah.
I'm a pretty hard rule enforcer on my own, game.
Especially if we're going out and playing for a score.
Sure.
If we're just screwing off and having a couple of beers, if you're behind a tree and there's nobody else, I'll say, listen, man, we're not playing the U.S. Open here. Pull it out, assess yourself a penalty, let's go. And vice versa.
Sure.
But now, if we're playing for a score, that's different. That's different.
But if we're playing for a score, for example, and it's must be thrilling to people.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But we're playing for a score, yet you got to move on the day. I go OB.
Yeah.
I'm dropping. I'm hitting 4 as though I hit my tee shot there.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
this is
it's
awful.
The code. Here we go. Hand it over. Let's do probables. Let's be less awful.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
All right. Before I get to those probables, let me say this, that old Tim's there of the Brewers, with a remarkable April, so much so that you and I have done 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you, Eric. He had 2 more home runs yesterday, giving him 10 for the month. Eric Timms. Timms. I guess it's Timms.
I think it's Thames. Because there was a Marcus Timms with the same spelling.
Yeah. That's why I was going with Timms.
Yeah.
Matthew, is it Timms? Thames? Thames?
Call him Thames from now on.
Eric Thames of the Brewers continues to enjoy a remarkable April and to own the Cincinnati Reds. Thames hit 2 more home runs on Monday, giving him 10 for the month, including 7 against the Reds this month. I think the Reds should look at one another every time Thames comes to the plate and say, we shouldn't pitch to him.
I think Billy Hamilton has watched him hit 7, and he goes, that would be a hell of a career.
That is amazing. The only other player in MLB history with 7+ home runs in April against a single team is Willie Stargell. Pops! Big, strong man didn't need the extra. He did it against the Atlanta Braves. Get you some. He had 8 in the month of April. They were tired of seeing Pops. Lots of people were, Tom. Hall of Famer. Old number 8.
This is such a beautiful ballpark in Fulton County. And by that I mean it's awfully and ugly.
As Astros, Indians, Dallas Keuchel, Josh Tomlin. That's your matchup there. Cubs to bludgeon the Pirates tonight. They'll do so with Kyle Hendricks against Garrett Cole. We'll see. I will say my fake ace, Garrett Cole, has strung together 3 straight quality starts. Sorry, Garrett, just ruined you. Marlins, Phillies, Y.E. Chen, and Vince Velasquez. Rays, Orioles, Erasmo!
Asmo!
Yeah! Ramirez, Wade Miley. We got Braves, Mets going TBA on me at 7:10? That can't be right. You got Gesellman, do you not?
No, it's PPD. Postponed.
Due to rain.
Doubleheader in September.
No Conforto?
No Conforto. Confort no.
Boo. Mariners, Tigers. Felix Hernandez, Jordan Zimmerman. Reds, Brewers, Scott Feldman, Zach Davies. Twins, Rangers, Irvin Santana, Andrew Kashner. We got Royals, White Sox, Danny Duffy, Dylan Covey. Blue Jays, Cardinals, Marco Estrada, Michael Wacha. Nats, Rockies, Joe Ross. Simply named Joe Ross. And German Marquez. We got Padres, D-backs, Clayton Richard, Patrick Corbin, A's, Angels, Jesse Hahn, J.C. Ramirez, and tonight, Dodgers, Giants, Clayton Kershaw, Ty Blatch. It would have no doubt been Bumgarner, Kershaw. They seemingly match up 42 times a year.
Every time.
But Bumgarner's got to be a redneck and fall off a dirt bike, and there's that.
But don't tell him he's being stupid.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say anything to Madison Bumgarner that might be an affront to his sensibilities because he can do something about it, and I would be powerless. I hate admitting that as a man. Good work out of you, sir. And to those that called and or listen, I surely do appreciate it. We'll be with you tomorrow. And before I forget, what a directorial job today by Matthew. Be well.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.